These arguments
Fuck
suck.
It's been done before.
These
You can't
arguments
do
suck.
it.
Like, that's what she's brought me down to. I'm just like, you suck.
In the DVD audio commentary for Casablanca, film critic Roger Ebert mentioned a special event that he had analyzing the film. Hosting alongside Haskell Wexler, Ebert would go through Casablanca shot for shot and provide commentary over each shot. This was apparently a regular thing for Ebert through various lectures, including doing so on one of his most cherished films, Citizen Kane. While these shot-for-shot commentaries sound rather long, there is something to be said for drawing attention to how much work goes into a movie when taken in slowly. Every Frame a Pause, or EFAP for short, is a YouTube channel with a similar format. But instead of using the shot-by-shot commentary for movies, EFAP does this with YouTube commentary videos on media. And instead of the discussion being led by film critics and filmmakers, it's just the worst people. So EFAP was established by the YouTuber Mahler, who is mostly known for two traits. The first is that he argues that movies can be objectively bad rather than subjective, which is pretty funny given the lack of understanding of the essential components of art criticism, and as a result of that, a failure to come off as authoritative. And his second most notable trait is making videos that are just way too long. And look, there's nothing wrong with making long videos per se, but these are just absurdly long for the subjects discussed. Like, Mahler has a multi-video series covering Star Wars The Force Awakens, which he started 7 years ago, and the first video, labeled as an introduction, runs 2 hours and 45 minutes long. For reference, The Force Awakens is only 2 hours and 16 minutes long. Not only are the videos in this series ridiculous in length, with the longest entry running nearly 4 hours, but this series has apparently been going on for years, because the 5th video in his critique of The Force Awakens dropped just last year. EFAP videos are also known for going on too long, even by podcast standards. This absurdity is best seen in their response to Jenny Nicholson's video, "Well, I didn't like the Joker." Her video only ran for 33 minutes, but EFAP's response to her ran for well over 11 hours. Okay, the reason I want to focus on this EFAP video is that it's become infamous for its length. EFAP defenders have claimed that the length is warranted, and those mocking the video just haven't given the EFAP episode a chance. On its face, however, you're fighting an uphill battle by trying to argue for the video's relevance in its longevity. If someone is being told that they're too harsh on the length of EFAP's response, and that they should watch it before passing judgment, the gut reaction is going to be, no, I'm not going to waste literally half a day watching that shit. Now, long videos are fine if there's something substantial enough to warrant hours more than minutes. A good example of this is FD Signifier's video on Tyler Perry. I really liked that very long video. And long documentaries are even acceptable if there's enough interesting material there. I love the In Search of Darkness Megadoc series for covering the history of horror movies, with part 3 running nearly 6 hours long. But when a video is framed as a response podcast, 11 hours just seems a little much. So I figured let's just watch the video in question. I mean, if I made it through all of Berlin Alexanderplatz, I mean, I can get through this. Now, before you immediately add this video to your watch later list or clear your schedule to watch my video, relax. I'm not going to respond to all 11 hours. I'm not making a 24-hour long video response to EFAP, for as fittingly satirical as that might be. I'm not saying I didn't watch the entire video. Trust me, I did. I had to space it out over a few days, but I did finish it. But there's just a whole lot of meandering and tangents that these folks go on that just don't go anywhere on this podcast. And yes, I understand this happens on podcasts where reactions and side stories and reading the chat can run long, but still, there should have been better direction here. And this is why, when responding to EFAP's response to the Joker criticism, I'm mostly going to focus on their direct points about the review and not the inane banter that wanders off course. Some might say I'm not properly responding to this video if I edit it down and don't address every single point, no matter how pointless. And if you think that I'm taking EFAP out of context, then feel free to watch all 11 hours for yourself. Before we we start, let's introduce the panel assembled. There's Mahler, whom I've already covered. There's Wolf, whom I couldn't find much about given that he's dropped off the internet. All I could determine from the EFAP fan site was that he was a YouTuber who left the platform for personal reasons, and his catchphrase was, "Hello, all my N-words." I can't imagine why he'd give up such a legacy. And then there's Regs, who is,
offering features that allow those with special needs to play. So you mean disabled people? Mentally handicapped people? I can't say on YouTube anymore. Do you really want every game to be so accessible that a mentally handicapped person can beat it? I have been accused of being racist or transphobic or something, even though the artist who draws the images you're seeing now, she's not white, but whatever. I guess the truth is inconvenient, isn't it?
Yeah, Regs just sucks. So they don't get around to Jenny's video until about an hour in, so I'm just going to skip right over to that section. And here's a summary of the topics in the first hour that I'm skipping over, in case you're wondering what juicy discussions you're missing out on. Okay, so a little over an hour into the podcast, they finally get to Jenny's video. Well, almost. I mean, first they've got to get in some ableism before the video starts.
We just found out she thinks TLJ is the best one.
Maybe this wasn't the right EFAP to come
So
back.
she is It's confirmed.
Okay,
Well,
so good. I know
That's an ableist slur.
You're an ableist slur. Your
Why are these
existence
people like
alone.
this?
You always hide your ableism between words as well, Rags. Sentences.
Oh, that's all right.
Well, it's secret evilness.
No, I didn't hide it. I just fucking called her.
Nope. That was hidden between two other words.
I do find it hilarious how Regs then complains that Jenny's video is too long.
That's
Oh,
enough.
33 minutes?
Oh no! Oh god! It's 34
It's
minutes
just her
long.
opinion, guys.
Really? Y'all are complaining that the video you're going to watch is 34 minutes long on an 11-hour podcast hosted by a dude who made a 5-hour video about one Marvel movie? You are the last people on YouTube who should be complaining about the length of a video. So, after they talk over the first few seconds, Jenny's video is finally heard.
I saw Joker and I was so relieved. I've had so little to say about proper clickbaity popular films that I was actually in the middle of drafting.
Does she just mean films that get you clicks?
I get, but well, that's just anything
I was gonna say, that's
popular.
not clickbait.
Yeah,
Literally
that's
anything
any film
popular
that
is
people know
clickbaity.
about.
Yeah.
Interesting
Like
way to describe it. but
Avengers
alright.
Infinity War is just a clickbaity movie. Endgame is just a clickbaity movie.
Lord of the Rings is just a
Okay,
clickbaity
it's just-
movie.
Like, is everything popular? Instead of saying popular, just swap it with clickbaity. You know, mean the same thing in her mind, I suppose.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think she
man.
means something else.
Clickbait, as we've come to define it, refers to sensational content that exploits curiosity to generate attention and subsequent revenue. Essentially, you're not so much clicking on an article or video because you think it will be good, but because the title, headline, or thumbnail is too enticing to ignore. Now, I don't entirely agree with Jenny's word choice, but I understand why she's using it. There are many movies that are framed to get you into the theater, provoking more curiosity than genuine appeal. There's a CGI Lion King remake out. I mean, don't you want to see how awful it looks? There's a conclusion to the Avengers movie from last year. Don't you want to see how it ends? There's a Captain Marvel movie out. Don't you want to see how she fits into the MCU after Infinity War? There's a 9th Star Wars movie. Surely you want to see how this trilogy ends and what it has to do with the Skywalkers. There's then more complaining about Jenny's appearance and her editing that I'm going to skip through. Let's just get to the next point.
I'm not saying, oh, it's boring. Where's Batman? That's not my criticism at all. This whole movie kind of reads as one of those productions that like switched directors halfway through and they didn't get to complete their vision. Which
That is
How-
interesting.
You're gonna have to justify the hell out of
yeah,
that
I'm
because
very curious.
Maybe you should let the video play for a bit so that she can make her case, you know, instead of getting mad every few seconds. There's a portion just before this I snipped out where Jenny mentioned people will probably get mad, and then EFAP just got preemptively mad for like 2 minutes.
I don't
you
know.
can
Maybe
see
she can
that
point to
in
something.
Justice League to an extent. Like there's
Right, yeah.
there's parts that just don't even feel like it's meant to be in that movie.
Hashtag release the Snyder cut.
No. We're not doing that. Zack Snyder's never made a good movie in his life. Changed my mind.
Okay, I'm going to skip over the Zack Snyder discussion they have because, for one, it has no relation to the topic, and two, it's mostly a review of his filmography that is fucking boring and inane.
Not what it is at all, so that's bad. It has a pretty compelling setup. You like Arthur at the beginning. The things that make his life sad are generally pretty believable. But then the world around him just becomes so comically mean in such an over-the-top way.
What kind of
over-the-top way? All right.
What kind of sheltered existence do you live where you think that people being mean in public is over the top and crazy?
So I grew up in the Detroit area, not downtown Detroit, but in the metropolitan area.
I'm glad you made it out alive.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess I am too. Whatever. So if you think that people aren't, I mean, the shit they showed in the movie is pretty tame.
People will, like, most people are generally fine. Depends where you go to. Like around, like in the South, generally people are just a lot more mellow. But you go to the inner cities like that, and people, they got things to do, and they don't put up with your shit. And especially when you're talking about this kind of world that he lives in, people are generally poorer, and you know they got a lot of problems, and they're tense, and they don't put up with shit. I mean, that's just a lot of cities in general. But it's curious to me that someone who's sitting full of makeup with her fucking porg pillow
and this
in her
really
room is telling us that it's just unrealistic what happens to him.
Okay, so the argument against Jenny finding the cruelty over the top is that reality can be that cruel. They use real-world examples like Detroit and Chicago, but like, this film takes place in a fictional city. Gotham City is not a real place and can be framed in many different ways to suit different stories. Todd Phillips didn't just drop this version of the Joker into a dirty, depressing, and mean-spirited Gotham inspired by inner city life, shake it around, and just film whatever came out. He staged the film so that Arthur would lose all hope and become a villain. The problem with this route is that the film is unceasingly cruel, so it makes, it's just amusing how hard it has to try to make Arthur become the Joker. When a film is just wall to wall with despair around every corner, the darkness becomes numbing, and there's no shock in the progression from bad to worse. But the EFAP crew just doesn't really discuss this much. They mostly get hung up on crime stats before eventually returning to her point when she clarifies.
Any of these weird, sad incidents on their own, you'd kind of be like, okay, but they pile up so much that it just becomes absurd. A good example is...
That's very interesting, like that they all pile up and it's absurd that they do. It's like, man...
There's a lot of cause and effect to the events, though. Like, the one in the subway could have been avoided if not for his laugh, which we knew already, and the fact that he was clearly made uncomfortable by the fact that someone was doing that to a woman. Well, it doesn't really matter that she's a woman, she's a person in general. Because there's one of the part of his character, he doesn't actually want innocent people to be hurt.
Yeah, it's like, maybe some... Maybe her personality is one that's more reserved, that isn't standoffish, that isn't aggressive, that isn't assertive. It's very possible. I don't know. If that's the case, maybe you'll get into less confrontations. But if you imagine Arthur, who's vulnerable in a variety of different ways, well, then the risk factors for you being the targets of these things or being affected by this thing goes up.
Yeah, so, and you could definitely argue that a lot of the events sort of inform each other, as in the first beating gets him ready and interested in getting the gun, which causes him to lose the job. So technically, it's not like those are two random events, you know?
Yes, there is a progression in the story, but if everything in that story is bad all the time, the believability weakens. It's kind of like that one joke from Futurama with the fake show The Scary Door, which parodies a handful of Twilight Zone episodes all at once. On their own, each story is a compelling fable, but when you sandwich them all together in a story where a man thinks he's in hell, and on a plane with a gremlin, and also Hitler, and his wife is a giant bug, It's hilariously absurd. Sure, those are plots from the Twilight Zone, but the volume of tossing all the twists together lessens the impact. But EFAP Plus seems to get really hung up on this framing of Joker being just like real life, and that if you don't like how the movie progresses, you just don't like reality, even though that's not what's being argued here. I'm getting really bored with these guys. Maybe their chat is better with the commentary?
Uncompetitive said at JLongboat, stop saying the N-word with a hard ER.
Hard ER?
She's in chat, she just said no.
There's lots of N's and I's and G's in the chat. I have no idea what that's for.
No, I don't know what that can relate to. I'm confused, if anything.
Are they trying to spell ginger? Do we have a ginger in the chat?
Okay, never mind. The chat is way worse. Let's just go back to the Three Stooges here.
So much that it just becomes absurd. A good example is the scene where his social worker tells him that he's no longer going to be able to receive therapy or check-ins or whatever those were supposed to be, or
shut down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So where's
Yeah,
she
those
going
were
with
shut
this?
down.
I'm listening intently. Where are you going with this, Jenny?
Yeah.
Because funding has been cut from the program. She tells him this, and so okay. But then unprompted, she's like, they don't care about people like you or people like me, which was kind of what the implication had been, but I guess the director didn't trust us to understand what was going on.
No. We get it. It's the audience gets it. It legit is for her basically just saying straight up to him, like, we're both lose. I'm losing my job. You're not getting your medicine. Fuck it.
Yeah, and it's a poorly written way to explain Gotham's situation. When the social worker has to break from treatment and outright tell Arthur that the world doesn't give a shit about them, instead of the movie relying on, you know, the very framing of Gotham to make that clear, it feels like a very unnecessary line. Like, wow, I'm glad that hideous outlook on Arthur's life was plainly spelled out by his social worker. It would be like if a film were trying to make a point about how the rich are awful people and had to spell it out in a newspaper headline that says, kill the rich. Wouldn't that just seem like a lazy means of storytelling? Because guess which film did that? Joker.
Let's see what else she has to say about that.
I guess the director didn't trust us to understand what was going on. And I assume that second half,
I think we all got it. Everyone got it.
Yes, it's a very obvious line. And that's why it sucks.
Was to try to kind of clumsily justify why she would volunteer this kind of angry statement. We're meant to understand.
It wasn't that angry.
Yeah, it was just
irritable.
Obviously she's upset, like anyone would be if they're losing their job.
It's resigned.
It wasn't coming across as like aggressive, and it definitely not toward Arthur.
Grudging resignation, I guess, would be a way to say it. She's just she's upset. Obviously, she's going to lose her job too, and all that comes along with that. And the person, you know, she has frustration, but it's not directed at Arthur.
The last thing a social worker should ever tell a patient who feels anxiety and despair is that the world sucks ass and nobody gives a shit about you. That seems like very dangerous words to give to somebody who needs help. Because if nobody gives a shit about Arthur and he's directly told this by the only person who can help him, why should he care about anybody else? You can maybe argue that she was telling Arthur this in hopes that he'd be careful and protect himself, but still, this is a terrible way to make that point clear, especially when the dialogue functions little more than as exposition.
And her frustration that she can't help people at her job the way she wants to. But this line doesn't work because in all of their previous meetings, she's never like connected with Arthur. In fact, she barely listens to him, which is portrayed as part of the problem. Most of the
Yeah,
just like real therapists.
I was gonna say that's.
I would know. I would know. I mean, I've gone to 4, and none of them really do anything other than say the same predetermined responses to everything. They don't
she just
really
described
know or care.
is what I would describe for why it's a strong scene.
Did you catch what EFAPocalypse missed here? Jenny just said that the social worker's lines about wanting to help people doesn't align with her previous scenes. In her last session with Arthur, she says that she can't help people the way that she wants to, but the previous session revealed she wasn't really helping at all because she wasn't connecting with him. If the social worker wasn't really listening to Arthur or finding ways to help him, why would she care about telling Arthur the problems with her department? Why should she try to be brutally honest with Arthur only in this moment when she's losing her job? And if there was any connection, any glimmer that she had tried to help him before, this final session could be tragic. But when the social worker never gave a shit to begin with, this scene means nothing. It's not another pillar of Arthur's sanity being shattered, it's another shitty therapy session coupled with a shitty dose of exposition that just falls out of her mouth unnaturally and contradicts the previous scene. But no, EFAPalooza here gets hung up on social workers being shitty in real life, which makes the scene relatable, I guess.
The time when he's talking and it cuts to her, she's just kind of looking at him in like bemusement or boredom. So why now?
Do you know what bemusement looks like?
Yeah, I was actually about to say something. Let me make sure. Bemusement. The fact or condition of being bemused. Oh, fuck you, Google.
Those are the best.
Okay, now I got it. All right, that's definitely what puzzled, confused, or bewildered. Maybe a little.
She looked more inquisitive
Bewildered,
to me.
or
Concerned.
bewildered and confused. No, I'd say concerned, like mild concern.
Like the fucking scene with him, just like he's laughing. You just see her looking at him.
Considering that the definition of bemusement includes being dazed and lost in thought, I don't think it's a poor choice of words. The social worker isn't really helping Arthur and treats him as someone she doesn't fully understand, showing little interest in trying to figure out his situation.
And you know, in fairness to therapists, it's like some of these things, like what are you supposed to say to Arthur Fleck? Like, you write in your journal?
There's plenty she could say because that's her job. And while it's debatable what approach to take, I think the worst thing she could say to Arthur would be that the world doesn't give a shit about you.
Say something as on the nose and inflammatory as this to this brooding, unstable man who's about to be taken off his...
How is it inflammatory when the whole idea is, man, nobody cares about me, you don't care about me? It's like, no. It's not that everyone hates you. It's that this society's falling apart.
Okay, I can't believe that EFAP meal looked up the definition of bemusement, but won't do the same for inflammatory. Because if they did, they'd know that the word means, in this context, tending to excite anger and disorder. So yes, the social worker is pouring gasoline on a flickering flame by saying that stupid piece of exposition.
She's just trying to use it as a sort of comforter instead of making it all personal. I don't see that as inflammatory myself.
Of course you don't, because you probably don't know what the word means.
Meds. It just feels clumsy and feels like it lowers the IQ of the whole movie that they have to tell you this in such certain terms.
Well,
it also makes
they
her
didn't wrap it in 17 layers of subtext.
It's not just that the scene is on the nose. It's that it comes about clumsily and contradicts previous scenes. You really don't think there's a simpler, better way for the film to communicate that Arthur's losing his social worker and that the elites of Gotham don't give a shit about him? You really think the best way to make those points clear is to just have them all fall out of the social worker's mouth?
I know writers who use subtext and they're all cowards.
We can't show her being very sympathetic to Arthur or connecting with him or really helping him because in order...
crazy. It's
Because
almost
the-
like therapists don't do that.
But that's not the point of the film, is that nothing's working out for him. If you have the therapist working with him, being compassionate with him, it would make less sense for him
Go
to
watch
be...
Good Will Hunting. If
I was
going to
say, that's not this movie. The idea, it's almost like she's implying that all therapists should be successful. So it's like, well, that's not reality. I don't know.
Again, it's not that this doesn't reflect reality. It's that the dialogue of her final session contradicts her previous one. If everything is failing, why would empathy even be present in that scene where the social worker states that the world doesn't give a shit about them?
We can't show her being very sympathetic to Arthur or connecting with him or really helping him because in order for the thesis statement of this movie to work, I guess everyone in every facet of Arthur's life has to be dismissive of him or wrong.
Nope.
His mother's not dismissive.
His mother's not dismissive.
Neither is the dwarfman.
There's the midget.
Yeah, Gary's
Notice how EFAP Jax cuts off Jenny before she finishes her sentence, which is about how every character is either dismissive of Arthur or wrongs him in some way. Because the immediate example they jump to is Arthur's mother, Penny. And yeah, she does wrong him. She was a delusional narcissist who lied to Arthur about being adopted. She brought him into a home where her boyfriend abused him physically and sexually. This is what led to Arthur's disorder and made his life so terrible. You know, the reason he kills his mother after learning the truth. Now, Riggs brings up Arthur's coworker, Gary, but Gary is also kind of dismissive. Like, sure, he was nice to Arthur on the job, but it's not like he fought for Arthur to get his job back, and he only visits once after Arthur loses his job. Considering how few scenes there are of Gary in the movie, he's not exactly a key player in Arthur's life. He's just that one nice guy who doesn't get murdered. EFAP Jax also argues that the guy who works in the records department of the hospital was nice to Arthur? Who fucking cares? It's a one-scene character who plays no active role in improving Arthur's chaotic and dire situation. If you're evidence that not every character in this movie is meant to be mean to Arthur, and it involves characters who only show up for 1 or 2 scenes, that's not a good argument against what Jenny is saying here.
Has to be dismissive of him or wrong him in some way. Another good example is at the very beginning.
No, wrong
he's
again. Not everyone.
Hired out from his clown talent agency to go hold a sign at a store's closeout sale. There's already a lot to unpack here. I'll be generous and skip right over clown talent.
Is there a lot to unpack?
Hold on.
Let's give her a chance. Let's give her a chance.
How is holding a sign, a clown holding a sign at a store going out of business? Like, how is that?
There's a lot to unpack.
What's wrong with that?
A lot to unpack.
Well, she's about to qualify. I'm sure this won't be frustrating. I'm sure
Of course
of it.
not.
Agency. I'm not a child of the 80s, and for all I know, clowns really did have such a heyday back then that it justified operating clown talent agencies. I don't know. But if I may indulge in a brief, very nitpicky sidebar, why did the sign holder have to be a clown?
It
Couldn't
didn't have
just
to be a clown.
Oh.
The whole point, if you see it dancing, here, I'm gonna let you.
Hold on. Why do like restaurants like Burger King like have the Burger King mascot walking around outside of the sign saying, "Hey, come here"? Why do we have mascots walking around trying to get people in? It's just like the idea of like it's trying to entice people to come in.
Yeah, Jenny, I'm gonna explain to you, should you ever watch this, the basics of advertising. Is
Also,
that you want to get attention. You know, there's park benches that you can buy advertisements for, and sometimes they'll say things like, "You just proved that advertising works." And that's the point. The point is to get eyes on them. If you see a dancing clown in the middle of the street, right in front of a store with a guy playing piano,
I'm going to be reading this sign.
You're going to be reading that sign and you're like, "Oh, going out of business, cheap stuff. Hey, my life's kind of tough. I might need some cheap stuff. I don't have that much money."
EFACs of life are getting really pissy about an aspect that Jenny herself admits is rather nitpicky. The criticism is fairly valid because clowns, as a marketing ploy, are typically targeted at children. When the film features Arthur performing as a clown at a children's hospital, that tracks. Clowns are often hired to entertain children, but hiring a clown to hold a sign for an out-of-business sale at a music shop does seem a bit unorthodox. It does seem like the store going out of business is putting too much work into a liquidation sale. Most failing stores don't go bonkers with their advertising budgets like this. It does give Arthur something to do, and it illustrates the city's problems, but much like the social worker scenes, it runs into contradictions.
have to be a clown? Couldn't it just be any temp worker? If the job is only to hold a sign and the purpose of the clown costume is just to generate attention to the person holding the sign, then wouldn't just an underqualified non-clown temp worker get you much better bang for your buck?
I'm gonna explain to you the nature of business, and one of those facets of business is that a lot of the times you have to spend money as an investment, someone might say, in order to make more money as a result of that spent money.
Yeah, you gotta spend money to make money for your store's out of business sale. Most businesses closing up shop tend not to have that mindset of, well, let's hit up the old clown agency and hire up an entertainer for our going out of business sale. And the boys spend quite a bit of time bitching about this.
You're trying to save money because your store is going out of business. Does nowhere in this city rent clown costumes to non-clowns?
Renting costs money, Jenny. Renting
Wait a minute.
things costs money. And if you're going out of business, Jenny, what are you doing spending money? Just burn down the building.
So
You're
she's
going out of
saying-
business.
That is not what she was saying or implying. Chill out, rags to bitches.
But I digress. Arthur is holding this sign and he gets mugged by some hooligans. And to add insult to injury, they take his sign and they break it. And then Arthur, like probably a full week later, gets yelled at by his boss.
Is it a full week later? Is there?
I can't be sure of the
There is
time frame.
absolutely no indication of how much time has passed. I assumed it was just the next day.
I assumed it was the next day too.
I don't know that it would. It depends on what a point is. Let's see if it matters.
Because the store owner wants his sign back. What, you're going out of business sign? Isn't a sign like that?
Well, if you need to tell people you're going
Okay,
out of
all right.
business to attract
This is-
people into
oh
your
my
store.
God.
Is this woman
Jenny-
stupid?
Jenny's
What's wrong
actually
with-
I'm sorry. So if you spend, so you need to be, if you need to be at least consistent with your stupid point.
Okay, Ragamuffins ableist slur aside, I'm going to spare you the pointless rant about store closing signs that goes on for 3 minutes.
Its very nature, a sign that you only need for a limited amount of time. Anyway, I'm not auditioning for CinemaSins here, and I'm not counting that as like a real big strike against the movie.
Thank God. That would have been embarrassing to defend.
Yes.
And it's even more embarrassing to get mad about it for 15 minutes.
I'm not auditioning for CinemaSins here, and I'm not counting that as like a real big strike against the movie. I just thought it was kind of funny.
Hilarious.
My beef is very unsurprising. It's the same as it always is. I don't like when movies carry themselves like they're very clever and like they have big themes and then fail to follow through and act.
Oh, you mean like TLJ?
Alright.
Yeah.
Yeah, so so the big thing, it's actually a very simple theme that we can all relate to. I think that's why audiences adore this film so much.
This scene lasted for like less than 3 minutes.
Okay, so they're still getting mad about this. And then just throw The Last Jedi into the mix completely unprovoked. I guess the giant porg in the background was too triggering for them.
Actually have well-developed themes. I was really pretty disappointed because I was actually pretty excited going in. The premise I was here for, the trailers I really liked. The trailers were very good. Can we just acknowledge that?
Sure.
This movie had
Don't
two.
care about the
Yeah, the
trailers.
TLG trailer was great.
Honestly, once the film is out, trailers can go fuck off.
Yeah.
I don't really care anymore.
The Godzilla King of the Monster trailers were legit amazing. And then
The
film
trailer
is
for
kind of
every
poop.
single 343 Halo game is great.
Trailer for Age of
But we
Ultron.
all know how 343 games are.
Trailer for Age of Ultron got me so hyped. It didn't work out. Unfortunately, but there we are.
What
yeah.
the hell does a trailer have to do with anything?
Like,
I don't
it's just-
know.
she's
I don't
she's
care
talked for
about the
34
trailer.
minutes. She could.
Yeah, she's got the
mention that
time to mention the
trailers were-
trailer.
Yeah, she got plenty of time.
What a worthless thing to praise.
Okay, trailers are important because they're meant to advertise the movie. And what happened to all that talk about advertising being important?
The trailer's good.
Really
Ah yes, just riveting commentary over here at E Fargo.
guys, and when this happens, I can still go back and just enjoy a good trailer, even if I like know that the movie
Okay,
didn't.
does anyone actually watch trailers for entertainment after the films have been seen? That's strange to me, but alright.
Yes, there are good trailers worth watching. Trailers require a bit of editing to make them appealing, and it's not something you can just discount as worthless marketing. It's the most important marketing component when it comes to getting butts in seats. However, what EFAP gets hung up on is that the trailers made bad movies look good, and that's why trailers suck, and that talking about great trailers is stupid. And it is just so dumb that they spend the next 4 minutes bitching about this, so I'm just gonna skip over it for you.
Turn out being that good, I could just go back and watch the trailer and like remember how excited it made me feel. It's like an
okay.
anime music video.
An
like
anime
it's its own
music
art.
video.
You're just like, nice trailer. That's very sad. If you haven't seen it and for some reason you're watching this video, I assume everyone that clicked it clicked it
no.
because
Statistically, almost everybody really liked the film. So yeah, most people who saw it really liked it.
Since we're talking about stats here, Bozrags, looking at the views of your reaction video compared with Jenny's, it does seem like more people wanted to hear what Jenny had to say than you guys.
haven't seen it, let me break this down very quickly.
Good for
Remember
you.
in the trailer they had all these compelling shots of like the Joker dancing in a grandiose fashion and they're playing like a Bing Crosby song or something. I'm 90% sure it's not Bing Crosby. Don't get on my case about this. Anyway, you see those in the trailer and you get kind of hype because it feels like this kind of bombastic scene, maybe a emotional height for the Joker.
Which it is.
Yeah, which it is.
Hold on.
I'm gonna let it continue, but I just want to clarify. It was. All right, we're moving forward.
Or a
And
culmination
even if it
of
wasn't, though, even if it wasn't, like, okay, it's a trailer, it's not in context. You have to watch the movie to understand the full context. That's not a flaw for the film.
The only thing she can conclude is poor marketing, or at least misleading marketing. And again, that would be like, all right, so what's the film like?
Against the film, though.
Yeah.
a lot of things that lead to him being on this staircase or backstage of this show and doing a grand little dance. You kind of assume it's not like triumphant given the overall tone of the movie, but that it's at least going
like
to be
in
some
the trailer,
kind
The
of
one down the
homestand.
stairs is definitely triumphant.
Triumphant, absolutely.
Or at least maybe not triumphant, but like gleeful.
Let her make the point.
Out scene. But the truth is, the Joker isn't dancing in like an interesting moment as part of a bigger scene. He dances at several points in the movie, actually, in various settings, and each time he does it, there isn't really a build-up to it. There's an unrelated...
No!
Okay.
No,
Okay,
the dancing
alright.
is always related
Alright.
to something intrinsically plot related. It's a character moment that always comes at the either beginning or end of a scene that something big happens or is going to happen.
That is an interesting thing to say.
How did you miss that?
Okay, this is a very dim read that Arthur's clearly emotionally driven dance numbers are little more than transitions. So there's the dancing scene when Arthur's watching TV and he accidentally discharges a gun. This scene makes it pretty clear that being lost in delusions of dancing is dangerous. And that's pretty much how all the dances can be read. He dances after murdering the men on the subway and immediately delves into the fantasy of making out with his neighbor. He dances with his mother, herself, lost in narcissism about her son's history. He dances down the stairs and is immediately pursued by the police, which leads to him getting hit by a car. So it's fair to say that these dances are not exactly celebratory, nor are they as simplistic as getting the story from point A to point B. And I think the tone of these dances is a bit off in their presentation, but it's pretty clear they're displays of Arthur getting too lost in his own inflated ego.
scene that somehow indicates his descent into madness, and then cut away to a different scene wherein he is dancing in front of a
Cut away
mirror
to a different
or on a
scene.
staircase or backstage of the talk show, and you're like, oh, and it's slow motion. It doesn't have fun like show tuney music the way it
Why the fuck would it have fun show 2D music?
Arthur's dancing is clearly an escape from the world and into the realm of entertainment. Show-tune music would be a better fit for his big dance down the stairs as gleeful juxtaposition rather than the film's favoring of Gary Glitter's rock and roll. But in hindsight, it's way funnier that Mahler Store General here thinks it's absurd that there would be show tunes for Arthur's fantasy dancing sequences. Because with the Joker sequel, we get show tune sequences. And even with that, the sequel still has the same problems as the last film. An inconsistent tone in the fantasy sequences with some darting between folk and rock.
in the trailer. It just has very somber strings. And each of these scenes is really sort of interchangeable with the other ones like it. I'm very here for like slow, boring character studies, but it didn't feel slow and boring because it was intimate or because it was taking its time to really develop the character.
I don't care about it finding it boring. Go ahead. Feel whatever you want.
Sure.
Joe fucking Wolf watched it 3 times and wasn't even bored, so.
Yeah.
And we know that's a ringing
Checkmate.
endorsement.
It felt like it was slow and boring because Todd Phillips had like a couple ideas for good scenes and then just repeated them a lot. Like he was trying.
No. Oh my god.
Before EFAP was sent into a furious fugue state, Jenny stated that Todd Phillips had a few good scenes and kept repeating them. Mr. Gasmask and his frat boys apparently read this as a waste of scenes, as though a handful were not necessary to move the plot along. I think most of the scenes move the story along just fine, but they still suck They really do feel like the same tone and message, beating its head against the wall over and over with no break from the darkness or surprise in the route. But the EFAP crew gets hung up on this being all about plot, and they have a mild debate over which scene in the film could be cut.
Trying to pad the movie. Sad thing happens to Arthur. Shot of Arthur in a dim room, smoking and looking seriously at a wall. Shot of Arthur dancing in slow-mo, but you play violin music over.
Alright, yeah, I mean, this is really fun. Let's play this game. Star Wars is like a bunch of people talking, stuff in space.
Just a guy sitting on a chair in a spaceship.
Yeah, a couple people in a different... The old rooms look basically the same. Oh, look, a new planet.
Just an old dude sitting on a rock.
Fucking Arthur is just in a place doing a thing.
People with laser swords just standing around staring at each other and talking rather than fighting.
Is this a regular game for them? Somebody points out a flaw in a beloved movie, and their retort is, well, Star Wars is dumb. It sounds like an easy game to play, but not an entertaining one to watch.
Also, a scene of a man dancing doesn't automatically become poignant just because you slow it down and put spooky violins over it, especially when you do it more than once. And by the
but themes.
Insulting to the really good soundtrack.
I can't take this seriously when she loves TLJ. That film is filled with pretentious shit.
Lady no like Joker, but lady like Last Jedi? Lady opinion not valid.
We are now 3 hours deep into the video. How do you think they're doing so far? Are these guys fun to listen to? Are they making some great points? Do you think you could stand to listen to this for another 8 hours? Okay, so they get sidetracked for half an hour to go watch Angry Joe's review of Terminator Dark Fate, but eventually they do get back to Jenny's video.
Smoking and looking seriously at a wall. Shot of Arthur dancing in slow-mo, but you play violin music over it. Also, a scene of a man dancing doesn't automatically become poignant just because you slow it down and put spooky violins over it, especially when you do it more than once. And by the third or fourth time, it starts to just feel tiresome, like this could have been a half-hour movie for how little ground it
But what if the theme was sad violin music? Then you'd shut the fuck up, wouldn't you?
All those stupid moments with like traveling around in stalls, if you just cut them, the movie would be like fucking half an hour long.
You didn't like this scene in Joker? Well, like, you know, you probably didn't like it because it's not Star Wars. I'll bet if Joker were Star Wars, you'd love it.
I mean, is the rest of the video just this? Jenny makes a point about why Joker didn't work for her, and it's countered with, shut up, you like The Last Jedi.
Okay, hold up. Before I go farther, let me just break down what I liked really quickly. They have a couple nods to the famous Joker story. I think this was all in The Killing Joke, where he says that anyone can go crazy if they just have one comically, exaggeratedly, monumentally bad day. They even have Arthur say at one point, I'm having a bad day. So, you know, that's all there. I noticed
Is that a reference to the comic? Because most of the time when I say I'm having a bad day, it just means my day was shitty.
Considering The Killing Joke is directly referenced as an inspiration for the Joker movie, no, it's not a coincidence.
I don't know if I liked it. I noticed it. I liked this one sequence where Arthur goes to a movie house and they're watching this old Charlie Chaplin movie. I think it's the famous one that's set in the Great Depression, and he's a downtrodden factory worker, and there's this major plot point where he keeps accidentally inciting these riots or uprisings. I think there's a major part where he says that he'd rather be in jail. It's a comedic thing where he's trying to get thrown back in jail because the living conditions there are better than they are outside. So as you've probably noticed, there are enough overt big plot echoes between the two stories that's kind of cool. Unfortunately, if you want to look to that Charlie Chaplin movie as an actual indicator of theme, it doesn't really work because it is a comedy, it has a happy ending.
Does that mean it doesn't work?
Christ's sake, Jenny.
What are your rules for themes exactly?
Oh, Lord.
Well, even though this can be directly compared to the events in the film, it doesn't really work thematically because that's a comedy.
Do you remember how, Rags, we were talking about...
Which is weird because Joker says, I realize my life's a comedy, which makes it work doubly well. Big Brain Jenny did...
The movie Modern Times is a comedy of errors about living in the 20th century. Despite the many problems that face Chaplin's tramp character, he forms a bond with an orphan and keeps popping up in different professions. Now, there are many ways to read Modern Times, but the outlook seems fairly positive. Times may get tough, but you can keep on going with enough gumption and finding someone to spend your life with. And even with all the machines that attempt to render his flesh, the tramp endures. And Arthur, comparatively, does not. The darkness of the 1980s swallows him, making his life miserable. He cannot endure its grimy spokes, and is forced to either let himself be ground into meat or destroy the machine. Now, you could look at Joker as, for lack of a better term, a postmodern take on modern times, but it does run into issues with its political implications. The rooting for the tramp's slapstick brilliance to overcome the machine doesn't exactly align with Arthur's desperation for finding nothing to fight for. And I do think there's a debate to be had there, but this is the EFAP dumpling gang we're talking about. They're not exactly equipped for this discussion, especially since they're hung up on Star Wars.
I think it's just him like getting a girlfriend and going to make things work in the real world. So it's not like a 1-1 correlation. I just think it's kind of cool to reference an old movie, but I don't think it necessarily tied the whole thing together.
Point?
I don't know that it was intended to.
What is the point of this?
Modern Times doesn't match up thematically with the Joker, even though Jenny likes the reference. Big deal. Move on.
I don't know. I'd call it like a little half-baked, which isn't to say that it doesn't get points. It gets like exactly half points. It's half-baked, you know? A half-baked chocolate chip cookie is...
I don't know what it means to get half points from you, Jenny.
Half-baked chocolate chip cookie could be pretty bad.
You like TLJ. What does half points from you mean?
That was full points for TLJ, so what you want is no points from him.
Yeah.
That's what you're aiming for.
Disregard point system, insult Star Wars further, it's all they've got.
Still pretty good. I really like the color scheme of the Joker's outfit. I don't know if this...
everyone in the chat's putting Jeb in front of famous people's
Jeb.
Okay, so 15 minutes of memes later, they get back to the video.
This particular color scheme is lifted from some already existing incarnation of the Joker, but it's not familiar to me, I don't think. I'm used to like purple and green, so I thought it was good. Also, I'm going to praise the thing that everybody is praising, that Joaquin Phoenix's performance is really good. It was really good. There's not a lot to say about that.
Now, did Movie Bob say it was good or bad?
The film as a whole?
Or was he half and half?
Didn't he say something to the effect of like he works well with the material he has?
Something like that.
Something really condescending like that.
I don't think I've heard anybody say that he did badly yet.
Because he'd have to be to have that position.
Okay, more ableism and moving right along.
Kind of social disorder and not just like a weird caricature.
Someone in the chat actually pointed out his performance was really good. What's up with all this boring dancing?
I guess she means the spoken portion of his performance. Everything else sucks.
He danced well, but the dancing, I guess, didn't fit with where it was.
You know, an actor can give a good performance and the movie can still be flawed. I don't know why this is a foreign concept for these dopes.
You're like Eddie Redmayne in the Fantastic Beasts movies. Sorry, I can't stop coming for the Fantastic Beasts movies. And to give credit to the script,
stop coming
for the Fantastic
I'm sorry. I guess you heard it too. Just
And then they laughed because she said come.
Sure, like Eddie Redmayne
in the Fantastic Beasts movies. Hurt
Sorry,
me.
I can't stop coming for the Fantastic Beasts movies. And to give
oh,
credit
she did
to
say it. That's so strange.
They laughed again because she said the word come.
Not related to coming to Fantastic Beasts. Mm-hmm. What she says about how she likes this scene is like, so how do you differentiate between why couldn't you all the things that she didn't like in these other scenes? How couldn't you apply those to this scene that she does like?
I mean, can we, I think, agree that the structure and standard, those two words are just out the window with videos like this? I have no idea.
It's like, why does your criticism of the dancing scenes and the other scenes you didn't like, how come that doesn't also work with this scene in the comedy club? Like, I'm sure maybe she could come up with a reason, maybe she elaborates on it. But if you were to ask me based on what I've heard so far, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Because every scene just seems to, there doesn't seem to be a standard here. There doesn't seem to be criteria to judge scenes or films on.
Not a whole lot, no.
What do you mean you liked some scenes in the movie, but not the movie as a whole? Explain your review structure immediately before making such a statement, because if you don't, you're going to confuse Whirling and Rags here.
Scenes later that I think are going to be looked at as like his acting moments that I don't think indicate good acting. I think it's all in the subtle stuff at the beginning, but I'm sure everybody's going to be like, oh, that scene where he's smoking and staring at the wall, or that scene where he's like contorting his body in a weird way to dance.
What do you think dancing is?
So Jenny, most people probably reference just the entire performance. That's what I seem to be seeing from most people. I've not seen anyone saying, "Oh man, him at his best was that scene where he was smoking while staring at a wall."
She just said she thought the subtle acting scenes were more compelling than the extreme ones. She's not referring to any specific review that applauded the scenes of smoking and contortion. However, the boys really only used Jenny's criticism to prattle on about their favorite scenes, which, like, whatever. I mean, it doesn't engage with her criticism, but at least they're not slinging ableist slurs and whipping out their hate boners for The Last Jedi unprovoked.
And it's like contorting your body and doing
Midget
exhausting
is offensive.
things.
They prefer
exhausting
kickable.
does not equal good acting.
Doing exhausting things does not equal good acting. All right. So what does
Okay.
equal good acting, Jenny?
Okay, so we're just
She's
gonna
the
roll
advocate
out
for
all of
acting,
the
so I'm
revenue.
willing to hear it out.
And a minute later in this podcast, we will hear that example.
And I think people conflate the two a lot. It's like that scene in Mamma Mia where Meryl Streep is doing The Winner Takes It All. The winner takes it all.
What?
I don't see how these are connected.
Sure. That's bad, I guess. It's strange. It's like she doesn't know what to do. It's like the scene kept going on way longer than she anticipated, and she has like, I got to do something with my hands. It's weird.
She's
Sure,
singing. It's like a whole
Yeah, I
different
guess.
parameter for a judgment.
little odd.
She's saying
But
like
I
her
can
hand
sorta-
movements are just as like. How the fuck do you compare
I
these
guess she's
two?
really trying. Yeah, I guess she's trying to make the comparison that Meryl Streep's really trying in this scene, but that doesn't mean she does a good job.
But like,
And,
let's
is she
let's
really
assume
trying?
she's saying you see these awkward movements. It's like Joker does that too. I'd be like, you do get these two aren't the same characters, right?
Excuse me, I don't know if you knew this, but Joker is a crime thriller and Mamma Mia is a musical romance. You can't compare the acting in these two films. What are you doing?
Okay. I mean, I like. Thanks for referencing Mamma Mia, a film that many of us have definitely seen.
Have either of you guys seen it?
No.
I think I've heard of it, but I haven't
just-
watched it.
All I know
There's
is there's
the-
a sequel. I
There's
don't know
the ABBA
why.
song. I just know there's an ABBA song called Mamma Mia, and like Mario says it or something.
That's all of your files on
That's-
that in total.
Okay, this is gonna be rough. Jenny is trying to illustrate a point about acting by using Mamma Mia as an example, a film that Fanta has not seen.
She's just flailing her arms and her scarf everywhere
How
and
the fuck is that having to do with Joker?
like wailing out the song. And that was a well-received performance. Everybody's like, wow, she really went for it on that song. And it's like, okay.
Man, Meryl running up those stairs. That must be.
Am I missing something?
What are we
guess.
supposed to be getting from this?
I used to think that my life was a tragedy.
What?
This is weird.
I guess this is a joke.
These, I guess, because these don't match.
Chat, what do you think?
Don't you just love how flustered Malamar gets when Jenny references Mamma Mia? Do you love that exasperated whine of a child? Are you enjoying his commentary 4 hours into his podcast?
Now I realize it's a comedy.
This is bizarre.
So yeah, is it supposed? Is her point that it's supposed to fit?
Is
Because
this?
it doesn't.
Is it supposed to be absolutely nothing like the movie?
Or is it just a
she's
weird
talking
joke
about?
based on passing
Yeah,
comment?
because I feel that it only, if anything, it only matches up coincidentally at times.
Well, she's cut this deliberately. Like, so whenever there's a thump, this character does something. It's like it does with every trailer ever.
Here's a joke for you. How many members of EFAP Polar Express does it take to figure out an obvious editing joke? The answer? More than 3.
Or even the end, when I stopped liking the way Arthur was written and didn't think it was very consistent, you could feel Joaquin Phoenix trying to like keep it together and feel like the same character. Like the fact that as he's giving his big grandiose speech on the talk show, Joaquin Phoenix is still doing kind of a childish inflection. I thought that was really good. So, thumbs up.
What was that? His character was written inconsistently, but Joaquin Phoenix was attempting to deliver it as though he's kind of like a child, which is good. So I'm stuck all the way back at, so he's supposed to be delivering lines like a child, and the inconsistency is that he's delivering adult lines? Is that... I don't agree with the premise or the conclusion there. I got nothing.
Yeah, I'm actually a little... I don't really...
Once again, an actor can deliver a good performance and still be inconsistently framed within the story. It's not a hard concept, dudes. Let's give them one more try to figure it out.
Could feel Joaquin Phoenix trying to like keep it together and feel like the same character. Like the fact that as he's giving his big grandiose speech on the talk show, Joaquin Phoenix is still doing kind of a childish inflection. I thought that was really good. So thumbs up.
No, I got nothing. I'm just going to carry on. I don't really know what she's trying to say with that one.
It was good. But to go back to criticism, as I kind of just hinted at, I didn't think there was enough of a through line for his character, the way it was written.
Wow.
And also, this is a character study, so this question should be important. But what are Arthur's motivations? They go ahead and give Arthur lines where he
doesn't
says,
want to be treated like shit.
Yeah, I'm curious what she means by motivation for what? To attempt to revolt? His motivation to kill? They're very blatantly...
essentially,
he
it
says
isn't
what
so
it
much
was.
his motivation, it's just that he doesn't want bad stuff to be constantly done to him. He doesn't want to be treated unfairly. It's not like he wants a lot of stuff.
He's
like, he just doesn't want to be abused and mistreated.
he's not political, not trying to make a statement, etc. So if he's to be believed, which I understand is conditional, what does he want? Our best glimpses
He
of
wants
what
satisfaction. He wants like personal satisfaction. And a big part of that is just not having other people mistreat you.
Yeah,
To live in peace, essentially.
To be acknowledged, recognized, and left in something less than pain.
He just wants like a normal person life, as far as I know.
Okay, that is a highly reductive answer, considering all the fantasies and actions of Arthur that contradict this motivation to just not feel like shit. Ragstock also notes that Arthur wants to make people happy, even though those two motivations are inconsistent in his actions.
all of the delusions, the fantasy sequences he has, we can glean from the praise other characters give him what he would like to be or to be perceived as.
Yeah, comforted, appreciated. That's
You answered
much
your
it.
question again.
Yeah,
and
she
you're still
answered the
at a
question
loss. Okay. What do you want us to say?
As he wants the talk show host he looks up to validate him, or almost be like a surrogate father. He wants people to say that he's funny, obviously, but there's one that's a little weird. This is the standout. It's something that his love interest says on one of the dates that he's imagining between them. She looks at the newsstand and sees the headlines about all the riots that Arthur's been inspiring by shooting the Wall Street guys, and she's like, I think that guy's a hero. So that leads us to believe that Arthur wants to be seen as a hero. One would assume.
Himself.
There's
just for himself.
There's a lot of ways you can discuss what's happening there.
Yeah,
I think
think
my initial take is that he's justifying what happened.
Right, and there's an inconsistency in his motivations with this inclusion.
So that suggests that he does want to start a movement. He's happy that
No.
Did you miss the line, do I look like the kind of one to start a movement?
She's saying that because in Arthur's delusion of the girlfriend being there and describing the killer as a hero, that technically he's describing himself that way, and thus he wants to start a movement. I think that's a jump in logic on that last bit. I've always seen that as him attempting to rationalize that he didn't actually do anything wrong, not that he wants to start a hero and become a symbol for the people or anything.
There is a difference between what Arthur says in that scene and what his fantasy humbleness implies. There is a suggestion that Arthur does stand for something in this scene, but not a direct declaration. This is why I usually despise stories where the twist is that all the prior events were in someone's head. To make that revelation compelling and not just a twist for twist's sake, there's a lot that needs to align, not just event-wise, but character-wise. And I don't think Todd Phillips really put enough consideration into how Arthur's twist of a full relationship contradicts the rest of his character.
that happened, even if it wasn't his initial goal, and he wants to be like a hero or influential. And I'm not saying it's bad that he contradicts this later. I get that he's crazy. That wasn't subtle. So sure, maybe he's not sure what he wants, or he's being dishonest on the talk show.
It's
but
not
at
a
the same time,
contradiction.
This is the
You
thing.
know, you could see. You know, you could see if he's talking to himself, he's calling himself a hero. And heroism isn't necessarily done for other people. He sees himself as a hero because he defended himself, and he's justifying to himself that he did the right thing, despite his nervousness.
And she's jumped to it, meaning that he wants to be seen as a hero by the people, which is not necessarily, like, that through line is just not definitive at all.
He doesn't want to be seen as a hero by the people. Except for all the moments that contradict this. Arthur doesn't look at the infamy his killer clown persona has stirred up in Gotham as a bad thing. Rather, he uses it to his advantage when escaping from pursuing detectives. He even delights in the carnage that he has caused by performing for rioters in the streets. One could argue it's just Arthur finding a platform to entertain and cultivate an audience, but that still implies a level of heroism based on those who follow Arthur for reasons clearly beyond his sick dance moves.
So all of the dude bros who defend the movie and they're like, you said he's not political. Well,
Dude
there
bros.
are in-text contradictions for that.
God.
Dude bros. Yeah, dude bros. There's an in-text contradiction because my crazy-ass interpretation that I've instantly leapt with to the end of the fucking rails.
Hey,
Yeah,
dude,
that's
Rags, bro. Did you see that Joker movie? Did you see it, dude?
Hey there, boys and girls. Today's secret word is dude bros. Now, you all know what to do when you hear the secret word, don't you? That's right. Get really frustrated and refuse to acknowledge an argument.
Because that's weird. Dude bros can love it. Dude bros can love this drama, this mostly actionless drama about a single person struggling with mental illness. Dude bros can love Star Wars. Dude bros like superhero movies. Dude bros love Call of Duty. Dude bros can just be everything.
I am so glad that Reg Zeroni is standing up for the most oppressed people of all. Too long have the dude bros had to suffer stereotyping in their media taste. Way to stick up for the little guy, even though Jenny wasn't arguing that dude bros can't like Joker.
Sequence when his girlfriend says he's a hero, he even like smiles to himself. It's very obvious, and like
he's telling himself
oh my
that.
God, for Christ's sake, why are you so narrow-minded?
How does the hallucination of his own mind is telling him something? He is talking to himself.
Arthur isn't just talking to himself. The movie is telling us something about Arthur's personality, and it contradicts his previous motivations and actions by slathering them with this unreliable perspective.
Can I point out, she's focusing hardcore on what we call a contradiction, and yet those are just fucking irrelevant when it comes to TLJ.
Reflected it all in his actions. Like he engaged with the mob in some other way than just breaking out of the cop car, seemingly
what do you
by
mean
coincidence.
Breaking out of the cop car?
He didn't break out of the cop car. They pulled him out. If anything, it was sloppy, but it was a rescue.
They smashed they rammed a truck into the cop car, killing the cop driving it and severely injuring Arthur. And then they drag him out of the broken window and put him on the trunk in hopes that he'll get up.
Okay, yeah, this is a fair point. The cop car was hit, and Arthur's clown fans did pull him out of it. A broken clock can be right once a day.
Like, if you're gonna write this thing where the thing he wants is to be an entertainer or get public approval, it's not that hard to write a through line from that with...
Apparently it is, because you didn't even fucking notice it. You just off watching a different movie.
Like, did you just go to a bathroom break for 90 minutes? What happened?
Him being a clown to him being a crazy murderer, because murderers do get attention. You could make it this whole media meta commentary, like he kills those.
As if there wasn't media meta commentary.
There wasn't.
Did you miss the long pan out showing all the screens that had them talking about what happened?
Did she miss all the papers sensationalizing his killings?
Did she miss the movie?
Just because a film acknowledges the media doesn't make it an effective commentary on the media's obsession with a murderer. This is like watching a classroom of grade schoolers try to argue for a movie on the most childish levels of criticism. Imagine arguing against somebody who didn't like Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor as a war movie because it did a terrible job depicting that conflict, and your only defense was that movie had people dying, and people die in war, therefore it's a good war movie. What do you mean it's a bad war movie?
Guy's on the subway in self-defense, but then he sees that that's the first thing he's done that's gotten him positive attention, and then he's like, well, maybe that's what I should do.
No, not kill everybody.
That's not at all why he does it.
No, it isn't kill everybody.
For Christ's sake,
Specific-
Jenny.
Okay, now I'm beginning to wonder if EFAP is even watching Jenny's video. They misinterpret her saying that murdering bad people will gain him attention to mean just murdering everybody. Jenny did not make that point, but that won't stop these dorks from going off on a long rant about it.
They even have this shot where he like kills the talk show host, and then it shows all the TV monitors picking up the story of what he just did, and it's like, OMG, he's famous. And fine, you know, it's some kind of heavy-handed...
It's like infamous, not famous.
Suddenly it's heavy-handed when that's what she was requesting? This doesn't make any sense.
Is it... How do you... Your line... It is a knife's edge between too casual and too heavy-handed for you, I guess.
She's like, why not have X, Y, and Z? We had X, which was too heavy-handed. You're like, oh...
Yes, a movie must either be too casual or too heavy-handed. There can't be a mixture of both elements in the film. So saith every frame a poop.
Part of Arthur's motivation, so what's the point of that? So anyway, that's not a thing. Like, Arthur notices the media coverage, and he, like, smiles about it, but it doesn't drive any of his later actions.
What do you...
Okay, so...
So becoming, like, fully... immersing himself into the role of the clown outfit despite because he loved all the clown shit going on. That totally didn't inform anything, right? I wasn't informed by his actions.
Yeah, it was like the idea of the clown is one of laughter and joy, which is his, dare I say it, his motivation that he explicitly states multiple times in the video, in the movie.
The coverage absolutely has an influence on what he does preceding the events.
There is a level of criticism that is just so far out of grasp for EFAP, insert funny suffix here. Jenny points out that the media's obsession doesn't align with Arthur's drive for the spotlight, and thus its inclusion feels off. Their key argument here is that because Arthur witnesses other people in clown masks, that it is equivalent to Arthur taking note of media coverage. Which it isn't.
Each subsequent time he kills people, it's for reasons totally unrelated to that, usually just because they wronged him in some way.
Only because she...
because they wronged him in some way.
Not usually, only
Only.
Because they wronged him in some way.
Explicitly.
Oh my god.
Jenny, what are you doing?
I would argue that Murray didn't really do that much wrong to Arthur. Like, sure, Murray mocked Arthur, but he also gave Arthur a platform on his show. Maybe it's not quite apples and oranges, but I don't think Murray is as deserving of a bullet as the men who assaulted Arthur on the subway.
And until the final kill, he's not trying to get attention for it. Usually it happens somewhere in private, and then he tries to hide that he's done it. That's what's frustrating about Arthur's descent into madness, is it doesn't really feel like a descent. It's more like a point A, point B.
That's clever. You're
and poignant dancing in the middle.
Oof.
Ah, what a retort, calling her an ableist slur and then laughing. Yeah, this is not cringe as shit commentary.
The Joker would like that. His reaction to different catalysts often feels arbitrary and not like it's a gradual progression at all. Like one bad thing will happen and he'll respond violently, and then another equally bad thing will happen and he won't. It's
Okay, so let's start at the biggest thing that he does is he kills the 3 people on the subway because they were attacking him, beating him up. So that is the point that he will have, if she's correct, then he will return to that point for a lesser slight. So, he kills...
Oh, he is punched by Thomas Wayne, but I think it's fair to assume that he wasn't gonna fucking assault Thomas Wayne after that punch. He was on the floor anyways. By the time he gets to him, Thomas Wayne would be within the range of, like,
out. Yeah. And Thomas Wayne's a bigger guy, and I don't know, maybe there was pretty pragmatic reason why he didn't try to beat up a larger,
emotionally,
stronger.
you've just been punched by the guy you're pretty sure is your dad after being revealed that you're adopted by your mother.
Yeah.
He's dealing with some stuff.
Let me see. So where I'm trying to think where how does he inconsistently respond to violence or wrongness done to him?
I mean, you just brought up an example of how Thomas Wayne punches him and he doesn't respond violently despite being abused by the man he thought he had relations with. I'll spare you the many minutes of confusion they have over this statement as they try to recall the film.
Frustrating to even try to articulate this because there's such an easy fallback for anyone trying to defend this movie against any criticism. They can just be like, he's not supposed to make sense.
No, that's not what we said. That's
yeah.
not what we said, so...
He definitely does make sense.
It's not supposed to make
We're not
sense.
fucking talking about Godzilla. We're talking about Joker.
Okay, cool. You're not the people arguing that Arthur doesn't have to make sense. Then this argument doesn't apply to you, and you can move on. I mean, they don't, but I am.
He's the Joker. He's crazy. And it's like, well, yeah, but in a character study movie, it's only interesting if you're willing to actually study the character.
We did.
There has
What
to be
did you
some
do?
kind.
Yeah, you know why this is so frustrating? She is
study.
so convinced by the angle she's going from that she's arguing against somebody that like agrees that those issues exist, but the justification is that he's crazy. And she's like taking it like it's like that is the case. Has she seen anyone say this? Like, is she come on?
She might have. I mean, is it that far-fetched? I've encountered people who argue that they really only like the Joker movie because the character is unhinged and the film has a dark tone. And when I bring up the film's inconsistencies and the mixed messaging, the usual defense I hear is, well, I just like how dark the movie is. Which honestly, you know, okay, if you like the tone, fine. It's a fair point. But the point is, these people exist.
Kind of emotional core or sense to what they're doing. If you want to design a character who just kind of does stuff that doesn't make sense, that's fine, but not if they're the focal point of a character.
Why is that fine?
I'm glad. I shouldn't be glad that movie reviewers aren't making movies. I should want movie reviewers to make movies.
Oh, I see what you mean, right?
And there's like, I wouldn't ever, like, if, like, would you let Jenny Nicholson make the next Joker movie? I'm like, fuck no, keep her far away from this film. I want it to be good.
Imagine having her on set. She's like, it's okay to have a character that just does stuff, but he can't be the focal point. And you're looking at her like, what the fuck are you?
Fucking character studies, how do they work?
Character study, because then you just don't have that much of a movie. This motivation issue for me really came to a head
like
in the big talk show scene.
He literally says multiple times, I want to make people laugh. I want to make people smile. I want to bring joy to the world. He explicitly says this multiple times. That's what he wants. And you're like, I just don't know his motivation. Like, I don't know. What more do you want? What more do you want, Jenny? What is it that you would like for the film to do? What would you like it to present to you to answer these questions that you have?
A character can spout one motivation and still have a different one that they do not reveal. The movie contradicts this just make people happy motivation several times with Arthur's actions.
Which I feel like is the scene that everybody's going to be talking about. I'm already irritated by this scene because suddenly Arthur is like cool and confident and doesn't...
No, he's definitely nervous. You can see it all in his performance.
And yet his performance on the talk show is confident. He's smiling. He's not laughing uncontrollably. He projects with his jokes. There's some nervousness in a few moments when confronted about his actions and after he pulls the trigger, obviously. But comparatively, Arthur is confident enough to deliver the performance that he wanted. Yet another inconsistency that is being glazed over by the brilliant minds at EFAP smear.
Really display his nervous laughter tick for much of it. And sure, that's supposed to convey that he's transformed or whatever. But an earlier scene goes out of its way to imply that Arthur isn't really mentally ill in like a brain chemistry kind of sense. And all of his psychological problems are implied to be strongly linked to this head trauma he received as a child when he was abused.
All right, Jenny, we're gonna play a game here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what is inside? If you have head trauma, right? What is inside of your head?
Don't ask her that question.
Skull.
Yeah. All right. Good. Yeah. Your skull is in your head. Yeah. what is that skull protecting? Why is that skull shaped the way it is? What's
The
inside
hamster
that skull?
wheel inside the skull.
Well, Jenny here's got a hamster wheel in her skull.
Except the hamster died quite a while ago.
They say if you experience head trauma, right? You're gonna have a brain in there, right? So people can experience brain issues, and people can get fucked up in the head if they experience head trauma repeatedly.
What I think Jenny is trying to say is that Arthur's disorder was traumatically induced instead of being a matter of genetics. Poor word choice on her part, but not worth the squabbling that followed for the next few minutes.
Implied to be strongly linked to this head trauma he received as a child when he was abused by his mother's abusive boyfriend, which, by the way, is framed as his mother's fault. So if this is all
she enabled it to happen, in a sense, yeah, she is responsible because she allowed it to happen and do anything.
Arthur's mother is also revealed to be mentally unstable. And do you see the problem with this framing? Arthur is angry at his life with a mental disorder and kills his mother, who also has a mental disorder, which in turn led to Arthur's disorder.
Result of some kind of physical lesion in his brain. I don't understand how some kind of aha moment where he decides to be a murderer is going to suddenly cure his inability to present as normal in social settings.
Why do you think it's just like this or that? There are plenty of people who are autistic or who have other social, impairments or other conditions where they can present perfectly normally in most social scenarios.
I'm very concerned.
Like he's capable enough to hold down a job and to make a paycheck.
I'm very concerned that she sees what he did in the talk show as him like being normal.
I guess maybe she doesn't realize that after all of this time, like, this is the end result of all the things that's happened to him. He wasn't like this, as shown by the scenes of the film.
He's fucking not normal at the end, by any stretch of what people would probably define as normal. Mentally fully healthy.
If Arthur's motivations really were to be accepted, as EFAPing the monkey here seems to believe, there is a sense of normalcy that Arthur would desire. He dreams of being that comedian who performs at clubs and on talk shows. But there is so much else in the movie that undermines this drive towards the end. Also, there's a whole other can of worms that Raggedy Andy just opened up by bringing up autistic masking. Because masking has some extremely negative effects, but that's a conversation I don't think the ableist asshole squad here is equipped to handle or even listen to.
When he was abused by his mother's abusive boyfriend, which, by the way, is framed as his mother's fault. So if this is all the result of some kind of physical lesion in his brain, I don't understand how some kind of aha moment where he decides to be a murderer is going to suddenly cure his inability to...
He's also stopped taking his pills, his 7 different medications.
Yes.
He doesn't get his medicine. This is going to have an effect on him.
He even says that he feels better without the medicine. He feels more real. He feels better. He feels healed when he isn't taking his medicine.
Gary and Randall even look at him weird when he says yeah, I'm not taking my meds anymore. I feel great. And they're like, oh.
Yeah, right, that's odd. I mean, that's if somebody told you that, you would feel unusual too.
And the Murray show is right after that.
Oh, cool, he's off his meds. That explains all the craziness and doesn't further complicate the implications of Arthur's motivations.
To present as normal in social settings. But anyway, this scene is where Arthur is basically saying his thesis to the audience, and it's a mess. It's all over the...
You better justify that claim, for fuck's sake.
Place. Right out the gate, Lord. Arthur, it's very heavy-handed. He comes out and sits on the couch and tells an inappropriate joke. It's like a mean-spirited knock-knock joke about someone's son dying in a drunk driving accident. And they've written in this pearl-clutching old lady
all right.
character.
So a moment ago you were saying that it was bad that he presented himself as mostly socially normal in many situations. And that was like a problem, a contention you had? And now you've just almost back to back completely flipped. And now when it's the other way, it's heavy handed.
He told it. Well, yeah, this is the thing. She's saying, how is he so socially competent? And it's like he told a joke that she's also made a mistake here. I already see where she's going with this. She's got the pearl clutching old woman criticism. I got 3 things to say at once. This is difficult to choose. First of all, the whole audience is upset. You remember they're like, ooh, and then even Murray is like, that's a That kind of joke.
He says that's not the kind of joke we do on this show.
Yeah, it's not just the pill-clutching old woman that's upset.
Well, not
so
specific,
these people
it's not
exist,
specific,
they do it, especially when Murray's intention was to, like, he's a laughingstock, this guy. And so, like, having someone who doesn't even, is a very prude person when it comes to comedy, it makes enough sense. But also the fact that, yeah, these people exist. I don't know. She's saying, like, it's a convenience that that person is there.
What do you think us YouTubers have to deal with all the time? People clutching their pearls at our offensive humor.
And then, just on top of that, it's just like, I thought he was supposed to be non-inept now, but apparently he's still not able to detect social cues. And, you know, it's like a complete strikeout, Jenny. Try again.
Jenny just pointed out the inconsistencies, and you're claiming that Jenny herself is creating them. It's also pretty rich that Arthur tells an offensive joke, and these doofuses are like, wow, he's literally me.
Joke. It's like a mean-spirited knock-knock joke about someone's son dying in a drunk driving accident. And they've written in this pearl-clutching old lady character to sit next to Arthur, and it's so heavy-handed. She goes, "You can't joke about that." What a...
Is she unaware of how many times that is said today? You cannot joke about X.
Like, what do you think fucking ContraPoint's got her panties in a wad because of Dave Chappelle? It happens to this day. Especially when you go to back then television.
Absolutely, yeah. This is just throughout time. The line gets pushed all the time of, it's like, oh, that's the thing you can't make a joke about. And it's like, oh, can't we?
Ah, yes. I heard this line about offensive jokes before, so it can't be heavy-handed. Don't you know? If something exists in reality, its inclusion in a movie, no matter how at odds it might be with the narrative, is not heavy-handed. Another ridiculous dose of media criticism from the fine folks at Absolutely Fabulous.
It's like, it's heavy-handed. At this point, I'm like, define heavy-handed, please.
Hey kids, it's time to learn some terms. Heavy-handed, adjective. Definitions include being clumsy and awkward, excessive and overdone, harsh and oppressive, or, for our purposes, lacking subtlety or nuance. The definition does not imply that something heavy-handed doesn't exist. The more you know.
When you say heavy-handed, what are you referring to exactly?
A person saying you can't joke about X. That's heavy-handed, because that
doesn't happen. What level of thematic, subjective, meta-narrative do you have to be on before it isn't heavy-handed anymore?
Mean, offensive thing to tell jokes about. And this was the worst moment of my...
I mean, it was inappropriate. It was offensive.
Yeah, that wasn't appropriate. Especially for that, apparently, especially that show. Like, what, do you think they just let people on say whatever they want? Yeah, the FCC existed. There are broadcasting standards that one must adhere to, and when the further back you go, for the most part, the more stringent they are.
But thing exists. How come lady no like thing that exists? Does lady not know thing exist? What does heavy-handed mean anyway?
Viewing experience. This was the moment I had my own Arthur-style delusion in which Todd Phillips was sitting next to me and like nudging me with his elbow and being like, "Do you understand?" See, writer-director Todd Phillips has been going on every interview.
Because it's definitely not subtle when Yoda said, "Failure, the greatest teacher is."
After all, how many times, like I was saying to them before we started, and as I told Mahler yesterday when we were talking about Critical Drinker, not liking a movie is the criteria for you being a Nazi now.
Yeah.
These are the people who perpetuate that thing.
You know, when your criticisms come laced with racial slurs, anti-Semitism, and ableism, you're not exactly making it easy to shake off the Nazi accusation. And personally, I don't think people like this are fascist just because they don't like a movie. I think it's more due to all the fashy shit that they keep on doing.
For the last several months, and like complaining about how he can't make another Hangover-esque movie because people are too easily offended by his jokes these days.
This is the thing that's true. Scripts get rejected because they're inappropriate. It is a thing that happens.
Comedians are constantly getting articles written about them that say, this person can't do that.
Not her argument, and not enough to warrant the cancel culture rant that I'm going to skip over because it's unprovoked and tedious.
Days, as if there aren't a million movies getting made every day that are equally as trashy as his Hangover movies, and that
Yeah, this isn't every movie. This is a mainstream movie. This is something that you have to get several people to sign off on. All of DC's industry and goal, they have to be like, yeah, this is okay. This isn't some movie the guy made in his like backyard with a bunch of friends, like an indie movie or something. This goes through a shit ton of checks and...
Again, not the point being made here. Todd Phillips was getting all pissy that he can't make raunchy comedy movies anymore, despite plenty of them coming out. He was still making movies after the Hangover series, and they just weren't good enough. Like, hardly anybody watched his last movie before Joker, that being War Pigs. It just wasn't a good film. And usually when somebody makes an argument that you can't tell certain jokes these days, it's because they're just not that funny, and blaming everybody else is a convenient excuse. Think of how many comedians have made a statement like this, and then you actually listen to their comedy, and their jokes are just dog shit.
I look like Bilbo Baggins.
No, you don't.
No,
You don't look any. You don't look anything like Bilbo.
Don't besmirch the good name of Bilbo Baggins.
Okay, it's pretty absurd that these dorks complain about everybody being triggered by cancel culture, but a mere throwaway line from Jenny thinking that she looks like Bilbo Baggins is enough to send them into a tizzy.
It's just when I hear a comedian say, nobody likes my jokes because they're offended, my brain just filters that, so all I hear is nobody likes my jokes, which is a good warning to receive from a comedian. I already thought it was...
Like to say that if a comedian tells me no one likes my jokes because they're too edgy or something, I'd be like, alright, let's hear them.
And what happens after you hear those edgy jokes, Maul my children? What if the jokes are awful and nobody likes them? Because the majority of comedians who bitch about this topic turn out to not be funny. There are only so many times you can hear that phrasing about how you can't make edgy jokes anymore before it becomes obvious that it's a cry of the unfunny trying to hold on to relevance.
Received from a comedian. I already thought it was weird that he was complaining about that so much, because like, what does that have to do with Joker? The film.
Why are you talking about it, stupid idiots? Fucking hell.
Whoa there, little racist doggy. Let her finish her point before you keep on yipping.
That he was complaining about that so much, because like, what does that have to do with Joker, the film that he's...
I mean, if it's pretty
maybe you could, maybe you could fucking read the article.
I was gonna say it's pretty significant
down
for
in bed.
your...
Maybe let her finish her point about how it relates to the movie's promotion.
Promoting? And the answer is, it has nothing to do with the Joker. There's nothing at all to do with that. Arthur's comedy career is not failing because his jokes are too...
Why the fuck do you think it should be?
Is that why she's tying this together? Is that how...
So now she's concluding that the movie needed to represent that message because he's talking about it in interviews as opposed to the reason he was actually mentioning it in interviews?
That is fascinating. I don't...
We can see how the lights got there, how they connected in her brain, how Jeb rolled that wheel.
Can I call him? Can I fucking call him? Can I fucking call him at this point? Jesus.
It took them 2 whole minutes to reach the same point that took Jenny only 10 seconds to make. And they're really proud of how they were able to figure out Jenny's point after all their wincing and whining.
Tells off-color jokes. He's failing because he has brain damage. The few clips we see of his comedy performances, he's bombing because he has an uncontrollable laughter tic that happens when he's nervous. His jokes aren't inappropriate. They're like...
You just highlighted one of the ones that was inappropriate.
Yeah.
Hold on, it's not when he's nervous either.
Oh, that's my timer.
The disease happens, like, it will happen regardless of whatever you're feeling.
Yeah.
Did people not look this stuff up?
No, she didn't. She didn't give a fuck.
I mean,
She
come
sat-
on.
got home
no.
and she spent more time on her stupid fucking makeup after she got home, after maybe watching this movie, sat down on her bed, arranged her plushies, and that was her research.
Yeah, as opposed to Reggie Rue here, who loaded up his dog avatar, turned on the mic, and vomited out a bunch of pejoratives. It's funny that they say Jenny didn't do research and then immediately waste everybody's time on this stream by searching for shots from the movie to discuss Arthur's condition.
Because he has an uncontrollable laughter tic that happens when he's nervous. His jokes aren't inappropriate. They're like baby joke book jokes. They're almost
Except for the inappropriate joke that you said that he did was heavy-handed. You said that it went from they're not inappropriate to they're inappropriate and heavy-handed. Which one is it? Which one is it, Jenny?
Yeah.
Look, here's a link to the dictionary definition of heavy-handed. Please, just educate yourself.
How earnest and childish they are. But no, they have the old lady say that, and then in his speech, Arthur is even like, you decide what's right and wrong, just like you decide what's funny and what's not. And it's like, having this weird, you can't joke about that grandmother sitting next to Arthur on the talk show, and having that be the thing that kicks off this confrontation is just the...
It's not just that, it's all of it. The whole setup. Why does she keep looking at this like no one else reacted to the joke? It was just the pill-clutching old lady, that's all it was. It's like,
That's the point she's making, Maul Me By Your Name. We didn't need her to say those words when it's clear the rest of the audience doesn't like the joke. It's a pointless inclusion that is too overt in pointing out the obvious and muddies any central theme of the climax.
The moment that writer-director Todd Phillips comes out of the screen like a 3D movie to complain to you about his career. The whole speech is just...
You just said that it has nothing in the film to do with it.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the movie's promotion or Arthur's character arc. The rant Arthur goes on feels closer to Phillips's thoughts on comedy, which is why it sounds off. It sounds less like something Arthur would say and more like a Todd Phillips monologue. Jenny explains that if you could watch the video for more than 5 seconds.
Just a hot mess. You can't have it both ways. You can't make a movie about a mentally ill man's tragic descent into further madness and then also have an ending where he gives a big coherent speech where he's a mouthpiece for you, the writer-director, about how nobody wanted a 4th Hangover movie. And
What are you talking about?
She's just pulling this out of her ass.
You've materialized this from nothing. Like, he made a comment in an interview based on questions about why he's moved his career around. And you've concluded that the final speech in the film is supposed to be representative of him being frustrated that he couldn't make another Hangover movie.
And even if that was, in part, projection of his frustration at the industry, what does
It's
it matter?
actually
It's
fine
still,
as long as it matches the narrative, and it does.
yeah, it's still built up throughout the film.
You know, with how angry and confused these dorks get over everything, I'm surprised they haven't resorted to just calling Jenny names and making fart noises with their mouths. Like, I don't know how to correct these dunces beyond just meticulously explaining her statements in a slower tone and with smaller words.
you also have a line where he says, "What do you get when you cross a mentally ill loner with a society that ignores him and treats him like trash? You get what you deserve." And then he shoots the talk show host in the head. And it's like, well, does the writer-director also believe this?
For Christ's sake,
What?
Jenny. For Christ's sake.
Yes, Todd Phillips. Ted, is it Ted or Todd?
Todd.
Todd
It's
Phillips.
Jeb.
Double T in the morning, Phillips. Double T in the P. He definitely is absolutely down with the murder of people who don't like his comedy.
A very childish read here. Jenny is trying to address whether Joker's climactic declaration that society ignores mentally disturbed people will result in violence. And the response from Every Frame a Rambling Trivial is to misread her statement as,
You think Todd Phillips wants to murder people who don't like these movies? You dumb lady.
With a society
Let's
that
listen to it
ignores
again.
him and treats him like trash, you get what you deserve. And then he shoots the talk show host in the head. And it's like, well, does the writer-director also believe this? Is this
Yeah,
what
he
the
supports
movie's
murder.
about? Is it in
Well-
support of the Joker shooting the
Okay,
host
she's
in the head?
definitely just being deliberately obtuse. I refuse to believe she's actually enough to believe this.
There's no way. Like, she's got to be doing something because no.
Like, this is just intellectual dishonesty. This isn't you're stupid. I mean, you are stupid.
Well,
but this
yeah.
is,
they are running out of pejoratives, and it's really sad because this is all they got.
I also just don't like that line. I think it's messy, and I will explain. I just think it feels clumsy and unrealistic.
You didn't explain. You said
That's
it
not
feels...
explaining. You're just restating.
I think your thought processes are clumsy and idiotic.
One of the most frustrating things to listen to back before, like, a lot of any of my interactions on YouTube started would be reviewers being like, this scene does not work. You want to know why? It is boring. And it's boring because it just doesn't work well. It seriously feels wrong. You know what I mean? Like, the whole thing does not come together. It is utterly... It's just complete... It's terrible. You know, like, you didn't say anything throughout the whole... You just said nothing.
As opposed to the witty repartee of the EFAPening, delivering such thoughtful rebuttals as arguing about The Last Jedi unprovoked, and calling people stupid and ableist slurs. That's what's apparently missing from today's modern
Just don't like that line. I think it's messy, and I will explain. I just think it feels clumsy and unrealistic for a mentally ill movie character to outright state that they are mentally ill in order to give some kind of movie thesis statement. I also think it's weird that...
What?
Oh my god, this is
you see,
you see,
tell
this
me-
is the problem that I see with a lot of people. Like, reviewing this movie. Like the conflation between mental illness and violence. Like, it's just not there. You have to pull shit completely out of your ass.
Multiple times we've seen in this video, this is how mentally ill people act, but not this. This is how, like, she's just like people say this isn't what a mentally ill person does. People have said that. And I'm not an expert on mental illness. Then again, I'm not the one making the positive claim that this is not something mentally ill people do, or this isn't something that a mentally ill person would do, or this isn't something that you would expect to see from a mentally ill person. I didn't know we had so many experts on mental illness who reviewed movies who could just be so confident in saying that, oh yeah, because of that, it definitely doesn't work. His mental, that wouldn't let it. No, it wouldn't do.
You see how many small things they're getting hung up on here that don't really address Jenny's point? She brought up how the line felt clumsy coming from Arthur, someone with a mental disorder and communication problems, who somehow manages to angrily rattle off the film's thesis. Arguing that real-life people can state they have a mental disorder doesn't really engage with the argument here.
Movie thesis statement. I also think it's weird that even though he's like in full Joker mode and shooting people, he says mentally ill instead of crazy, as though not wanting to offend anybody.
What?
Wow.
What an insane reach. What an absolutely insane reach.
Is it though? Is it bizarre to find fault in a character who goes from having communication problems to directly stating the film's thesis with highly specific word choices? And if it worked for you, fine, but it's not that much of a reach considering how clunky this line comes off as.
Anyway, for me, the only redeeming quality of that scene is that the Joker uses werewolf as a verb. I love that. I feel like I say this about so many movies, but like, what was the theme?
Oh, for God's sake.
I can't
What
wait.
was the theme?
Oh no, somebody talking about film is bringing up themes again. Time to get mad.
What was it about? It sure presents itself as though it has something to say, and it half says many things, but it doesn't commit to any of them. Is it about the unfairness of class disparity? Thomas Wayne definitely seems pretty generically evil.
He's not evil.
Evil?
Yeah, I don't know about evil. He's just in the same way that the mob is. Well, I'd say the mob is worse, but
Are they really going to defend the rich asshole Thomas Wayne?
And he punches him in the face, and he calls poor people clowns on the news. That's what incites.
It's not unmotivated.
Yes, they really are going to defend the rich asshole Thomas Wayne.
I mean, he's confronted by a seemingly non-violent, mentally ill man, and he punches him in the face.
So let's go over why Thomas Wayne might have punched Arthur Fleck.
Let's not, because it's an argument about self-defense that goes on for 5 fucking minutes.
Riots, which are kind of a focal point of the movie, but Arthur has that whole bit on the talk show where he insists that, at least according to him, he's not political, didn't mean to become a symbol for that movement, doesn't have strong feelings about it one way or the other, but then he contradicts that by getting mad at Thomas Wayne for not caring about the little guy.
No, it's personal with him. He thinks the guy's his brother.
God damn, man. What movie did she watch? What was it called?
What movie did you watch?
Oh, yeah, because, as we all know, nothing that you do personally can be correlated with something political.
I guess he does support that movement, but then why not just say he supports
Because he
the
doesn't!
movement?
Jenny, please. I can only take so much tism,
I can only take so much tism. People watched this stream and thought, yeah, this is good. These guys make some good points. We're 6 hours in, and I think they've got another 5 hours left in them. But more to the point, you know that you can say you're not political and still take political actions, right? Some people might say they're apolitical, but in a general sense, no, they're not. If the actions you take don't advocate for political change and you'd rather stay where you are, that is an acceptance of the status quo. It's why the whole statement about not being political doesn't hold water. Arthur's actions and choices clearly have brought about a political shift. It does not matter if that was not what he wanted to do, because that's what happened.
Platform to say it, and why not kill Thomas Wayne when he had the chance? If he's
I thought he was his dad. God damn it.
And once again, he didn't wrong him.
Also, how? How would he kill him? How? Like, tell me the means by which he would kill him.
Probably with the gun he used for his previous kills. Also, he'd probably want to murder Thomas Wayne, considering that he abused him. You know, the same way those guys on the subway did.
Violent now. He kills the talk show host instead for being mean to him, which is a pretty feeble reason. He just kills me.
He humiliated him on public television that spread to thousands. In fact, it's probably the whole city.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe this is just me, but I don't think a talk show host that humiliates you deserves to be murdered.
Believe Arthur that he doesn't stand for anything, which I think is kind of a big if. Is that what the movie's about? Is it about how violent criminals are just unhinged, shouldn't be looked to as heroes or symbols? But then why does he get to have a big speech at the end of the movie about how the world has wronged him? Why suddenly make him capable of delivering a...
I've got the dash underscore
You've always
dash
been able
face.
to articulate.
She's killed me pretty much. I'm just.
Well, I gave you the warning a while ago.
I'm partially exhausted by her terrible takes after terrible takes.
You're getting exhausted. Say it ain't so, EFAP Albert and the Cosby Kids. Don't tell me you're out of steam a mere 6 hours into your stream complaining about Jenny. You have 5 more hours to go. Pull out your thesaurus. Put on more memes. Deliver more pointed commentary that will counter Jenny's claims. Anything.
It's like everything she says is wrong. That's what's exhausting about it.
At the moment in the film that he's supposed to be the craziest. Is it literally just a deconstruction of Batman? They have this line at the beginning where
Jesus Christ. How is this criticism?
The deconstruction of Batman? I was like, at this point, I'm like, sure, Jenny. It's a deconstruction of Batman. You've figured it out.
Not even gonna try anymore, are you, Regu? You've got nothing to counter the possible deconstruction of Batman.
Go for it.
The news stations are talking about this epidemic of giant super rats because, like, no one's been cleaning up the garbage. The city keeps getting worse. The rats are getting bigger and meaner and scarier. And then one of the hosts jokes that the way to take care of the super rats is now they're going to bring in super cats. And it's like a meta commentary on Batman, like...
He's a talk show host who tells jokes on TV!
Well, this is the thing, I don't even actually have... If she was to say, you could interpret that as he's a new class of bad guy and we're gonna need a new class of good guy to be able to stop him or something, I'd be like, okay. Okay, that's what that line could be interpreted as. I don't give it... Fine. But no, she's trying to make an argument that that is evidence for the film being a deconstruction of Batman. This is happening. She made that point. One line that was a joke,
desperate.
converted into a meaning, converted into the whole point of the film. This is your brain on subjectivity.
This is your brain on subjectivity.
Look at the crazy lady talking about Joker. Don't stop to consider her arguments or how to debate them. All you need to do is insult her, then sigh in frustration. And when all else fails, just mock her for liking The Last Jedi.
He's a band-aid solution. He doesn't actually fix what's wrong. You bring in a Batman to beat up the criminals. You don't address why there's so much crime. You don't address the class disparity in Gotham City. Whatever. This is not a new concept. If anything...
She's literally
complaining. Guys, this is baby's first Batman commentary.
She's criticizing the narrative she's just invented.
Nothing to criticize here. Everything Jenny is talking about is just the fantasy. She's so fake with all this talk of themes and deconstruction. No point in engaging with these points, I guess.
80 years ago or whatever. So maybe that's part of the theme because, like, Arthur isn't
She's
actually
desperately searching for a theme. It's so obvious. Be nice to people. Take care of your mentally ill. It's just so fucking simple. And there's other stuff in there, absolutely. But those are basically the theme.
Yeah, Joker is such a simple movie, guys. Why can't you see that? Why do you have to dig into the aspects of class divide, the depiction of those with mental disorders, the evocation of the comic books, and the political messaging inherent in its staging? It's just a film about being good to people. Stop trying to find things in the movie to talk about. All this talk is hurting the brain of poor Regs. Insert funny suffix here.
Treatment that he needs
Genold?
when he's sick.
Is that what you call her Genold?
Until he manifests as, like, violently crazy and then he's just arrested and taken away, like the cat solution. But why give Arthur
Where
that line
would you
he
like
says
him to go?
I need to have a sign that I can hold up that just says no.
No.
As, like, violently
you just need
crazy.
Just a sign for each of us.
And then he's just arrested and taken away, like the cat solution. But why give Arthur that line where he says he found things easier when he was still locked up? as if he's in favor of that solution. Why allude to the Charlie Chaplin movie with the same kind of plot element? Like, is him being locked up bad or good? Why don't I get to watch a scene where Arthur has to ward off?
See what's happening? They draw a moral out of the film because they cannot think about it themselves.
Did I hear that right? I'm pretty sure I heard scenes from a Mauler say they draw a moral from the film because they cannot think about it themselves. So what? If you try to find a moral message in a movie, you're not thinking for yourself? So yeah, think for yourself by not thinking about the movie beyond a basic level of just being gritty, I guess?
Super rat with a baseball bat. You promised me super rats. Bring me the super rats. Is the movie really about the underfunding of mental health care? Because even when Arthur was in treatment, his doctors seemed apathetic. It didn't appear to be helping, and they even suggest...
Holy shit, Jenny. It's almost like you're cracking it, but she sees it as contradictions.
I know. It's like, yeah, that's part of the problem.
It's like, if you go forward twice, you reach the food, Jenny. And she goes, forward twice? Forward plus forward equals backwards. No,
No, Jenny, no.
Yes, there are contradictions between these events and what they communicate. I realize that I'm just repeating the same criticisms at this point, but this is the level of critique I'm dealing with at this point in the video.
When he's off meds, he's healthier and more coherent and more in control of himself.
No, he believes he is, but he's definitely got some issues because of that.
This is why I was going to let her walk into her own grave.
Oh, no. Man needs his meds.
So is the message nobody should be on meds?
Holy fuck.
What? The message is no one should be on... What?
It is worth noting that Jenny's speculation about the messaging is based on what the film communicates. And the only retort she's getting here is, nah, that's dumb, followed by exasperation and childish insults.
Are they always a negative? And why make a point to clarify that Arthur has physical brain damage? Is that to also support the idea that he shouldn't be on meds and meds are bad?
What? Why would
Where are you
people
going?
not need meds if they have physical brain trauma? How does one even arrive at that?
She's
my goodness!
She's firing all cylinders, man. This is all of everything.
This Jenny Nicholson, what are you doing?
Same argument as last time, but louder and more annoying.
We have that whole theme of Arthur trying to present as normal. We have that line in his notebook that they...
She literally has gone to the point where she sees that just anything that happens as a theme. Like, Arthur walks through a door. She's like, is the theme that doors are supposed to be opened? You're like, dude.
Yeah.
Show me on the doll where themes hurt you.
Is people expect you to behave as if you don't. So is the message to embrace the idea of people having strange tics or social disorders and not expect a degree of normalcy, because that's fine, but that can't be the theme, because for
Jesus.
Arthur, accepting himself and liking who he is directly correlates to him
all this trouble she's having with, like, she presents a theme and then she finds something that contradicts it in the film and says this can't be the theme. Did she even try this with TLJ?
Is she on her meds?
Did she try this with TLJ?
Show me on the doll where the Last Jedi hurt you.
At what point are you like, maybe there isn't a theme, and I'm just... Maybe I'm just seeing everything as a theme, and it's not really. Maybe some lines of dialogue are just like people talking.
Dude,
maybe some lines of dialogue are just people talking and don't actually have anything to say about a film's themes. Maybe Rosebud and Citizen Kane is just a sled and nothing more. Maybe the setting of Blade Runner is just meant to look cool. Maybe Starship Troopers is just a movie about blowing up alien bugs. Maybe we should all stop looking at movies like Joker so seriously and just praise them uncritically. Because theme is apparently a dirty word in House of E equals MC FAP.
Well, that wasn't the good guy, or that character's crazy. And it's like, well, then say something. There was so much talk around this movie about how it's going to encourage mass murderers or incel murderers or whatever. Same thing, I guess.
Incel murderers and what are the same thing?
Mass murderers and incel murderers.
How are those the same thing?
So every incel that murders on a mass scale, apparently.
Or is every incel a mass murderer? I don't get the...
Weird statement.
How are they the same?
I think Jenny was just saying that both are losers. You know, for a group that gets really mad at people getting hung up on themes, y'all really do get hung up on the most minor statements.
And I don't know, time will tell, I guess, but honestly, this movie is so devoid of a message and such a blank slate.
Devoid of a message.
If you
It's
say
so
so.
devoid of a message.
I mean, the jab inside her head is dead on the rails, like we said this. He's out of... can't... All the themes killed him.
Something I skipped over in the video is the running joke they make about Jenny's brain being powered by a hamster wheel run on by Jeb Bush. I skipped over it because it's not funny, and hearing it again only reinforces my decision not to include the joke. Except I kind of did with that clip and what I'm saying here, so my bad.
Yeah, I guess people could just make it be about whatever they want it to be. And it doesn't really mean it's guilty of that. It just means that it's irresponsibly vague.
Irresponsibly vague. This movie is irresponsibly vague.
That one's going in the
vague
books.
to the point where it's irresponsible? What responsibility does a movie have to have a message?
Yeah, why should a movie with class divide, mental disorders, and inner city violence have to say anything about all that? It's just a movie. But in all seriousness, I do agree with Jenny that it is irresponsible. I have major issues with how the film depicts those with mental disorders as violent and unhinged. Having that type of character creates a dangerous perception. What if that dude with autism I know ends up like the Joker? How should I protect myself from him? I sure would like to have more cops around to attack them before they attack me, or even worse, what if I am the Joker? What if I need to be the one who fights for the rights of the downtrodden and inspires a political movement? What if I went on a talk show and created must-see TV? There is an uncomfortable vagueness in Joker's messaging. I could see it in the theater as I watched, and this large dude in a garish Joker t-shirt was cheering for Arthur to stab his coworker to death. My mind keeps coming back to that moment and what must have gone through that man's head. It is concerning, and I don't think it should be dismissed so quickly because you really love this version of the Joker.
When I saw the movie, I didn't get to hear any kind of audience reactions because I saw it enclosed in my car at a drive-in movie theater because I didn't want to get shot. But then in order to talk about...
So you actually believed that... So you believed all those ridiculous fucking insane articles that there would be mass shootings committed by incels because of a Joker movie?
She wanted to be safe. Who gives a shit? Move on.
Cars aren't immune to bullets. I don't know why she thinks that.
Oh yeah, cars are not at all bulletproof.
You are more protected from gunfire in a car at a massive lot for a drive-thru than you are at the interior of a movie theater where a gunman can pick you off easily. Sure, your car is not immune to gunfire, but you know what the neat thing about automobiles is that if you see something dangerous, you can get away from it pretty quickly by driving your car.
This is really bad. This is worse than
I felt
all
like I
the
had
other
to look
Joker
it up and
ones,
like
honestly.
rewatch certain scenes, primarily the talk show scene because it's so dialogue heavy and because it feels like it's given a lot of importance by the movie.
I know, yeah.
So anyway, I looked up a lot of like fan cams of it and you can hear the audience reactions in that. And I was a bit surprised. There were like 3 different uploads of varying quality. And in every single one, at the moment that he shoots the talk show host, you literally hear dudes like clapping.
Dudes. Because clapping is indicative of your gender.
Okay. How did you know that? Yeah, how did you know it was dudes clapping?
I don't even know what to say to that. Like, I was just like, okay.
Also, my theater was fucking silent as the grave because we were all on the edge of our seats because we were nervous as fuck.
Yeah, well, I was going to say mine was silent, but the only time my cinema's ever even made a noise, it's very rare, but when Mjolnir was picked up by Cap, my cinema, that was the first time they went,
yeah. In the movies, definitely people did that. Also, let's be fair and consistent here. There are people out there, there are Neanderthals who clap whenever a plane lands successfully. What does that have to say about the nature of aircraft, Jenny? Do tell me.
So, applause is usually associated with approval for what is happening on screen. And yes, I did see this happen in my theater, and it was from a dude. And it was concerning to the point that I'm not comfortable just writing that clapping off as people being stupid.
Brain hurty juice.
And at the moment that he shoots the talk show host, you literally hear dudes like clapping, and in one of them the guy behind the camera is even like, that was great, haha, that was so great. And it's like, what?
It was a great scene.
Yeah, so when you describe something as great, it could be for a lot of reasons. The scene is fantastic.
Yeah, I have no idea why that's great. Why he was referring to it as great. Like, does he...
The scene,
I'm
just gonna put it out there, Jenny. Yeah, the scene is great. Like,
I agree. The scene is amazing.
So
fucking amazeballs.
Yeah, great scenes should be celebrated. You can just clap whenever there's a great scene in a movie, regardless of the tone. Like, you know that scene in Schindler's List where there's a callback to the little girl in the colored coat? Like, you see her alive, and then later you see her dead in a pile of bodies. That's a great scene. So, of course, you should, applaud audibly and say, that's great. That's great cinema right there, right in the theater, in front of everybody.
Okay. We don't know why he's saying that. We need to know why.
I'm not trying to say that makes you a murderer, because it definitely doesn't.
What? I wasn't assuming that.
I definitely wasn't.
Okay, I'm glad you cleared that up. She's special.
But it does kind of suggest that you can't follow the emotional cues of any story more complex than, like, Iron Man. Like,
wow.
Iron Man, yeah, superhero movies are dumb, and if you laugh at them, you also
says
dumb.
The TLJ praiser. That is a lot to unpack.
He doesn't really unpack it. He just gets lost again. I mean, his brain is too fried at this point.
you sat through that whole Joaquin Phoenix performance and you made it to like the 110-minute mark still thinking this was some kind of feel-good underdog
In a way,
story.
it is. I mean, that's certainly how Arthur feels.
Yeah, Arthur's reached that degree of freedom. He's become who he believes himself to be. He's getting attention and appreciation for his actions. Like,
she's talking about the audience's perceptions, not Arthur's. Try to keep up.
Do you process that as a triumphant scene? Do you think things are gonna go well for Arthur from here? What were those people?
As far as he was concerned, it did. Even when he was in Arkham. She talks so much about how this is a character study and then completely ignores that we're supposed to see the events from Arthur's eyes in a lot of it. It's fascinating to me.
Crazy.
Like, what action scene? When Joker fight Batman? Oh, I also don't like that scene at the end where it cuts to him in a bright hospital.
Yeah,
and he's,
dumb.
like,
They're
talking to
stupid dude bros. Think of all the stuff that she has pulled from these people based on that extremely
Fucking
random
dumbass
comment.
dude bros, go enjoy Iron Man while she invents
They
films
said-
in her head.
I mean, that's kind of like the breaking point where that scene turns to another scene, essentially. And they're like, wow. That whole scene was, it was a great scene. I agree.
Yeah, I do agree. That's the problem.
Do not be concerned about that man who was all excited and clapped when Arthur murdered a man. He's just very passionate about serious comic book movies.
It cuts to him in a bright hospital and he's like talking to a therapist and it's ambiguous as to whether or not the whole movie happened. Aha! I bet like at least 20 of you thought I wasn't going to mention that, and your typing fingers were warming up. You were
Yeah, wow, 20 of you. That's fucking nothing.
So I don't think that we've actually made that argument once, and we have talked for a shit ton longer than the probably comments on a video in the span of a day.
Oh, it's a shit ton, all right. But also, if you weren't making that argument, then she's clearly not talking about you.
It doesn't have to make sense because the story
You
might
haven't
not be
demonstrated
true.
how it doesn't make sense, sister. Try again.
Try again.
Of course his story was maudlin or lacked internal consistency or didn't have a point.
Don't talk about internal consistency when you fucking adore TLJ. It makes no sense to me.
It's a story invented by a madman. Or, depending upon my preference as a commenter, maybe part of the story happened and other parts didn't happen, and I can just selectively decide and keep the ones I like to get rid of the ones I...
She isn't half concerned about people fighting back on her on this, isn't she? She couldn't just say what she thought about everything. She had to be like, hey, don't you dare. Don't you go there. Like, no.
I didn't, and that's how movies work now. But no! And this is what I'm talking about. This is the same thing as having the Joker outright say he's not political, and then making a movie with many implied political themes, and then also having him do a mission
Well, we've been over how that's all bullshit, so sorry.
statement at the end. You're doing like a cop-out thing, and you're affording yourself enough deniability that if any part of the movie doesn't make sense, you can be like, well, it wasn't supposed to. But then why did you make your movie? It's disingenuous to claim that it doesn't have any point, because you made it for...
You're fighting against arguments you invented. This is like literal straw manning.
She is so convinced that the movie doesn't have a point. It's not just that the movie doesn't have a point, but she has determined that Ted Phillips knows that it doesn't have a point. Therefore, things she says, like that's how quick she is to just leap to certainty.
6 hours and 25 minutes in, and they're still doing the same old shit. Still misreading Jenny's points, still making lazy insults, still using The Last Jedi as a fallback defense.
Afraid to commit to what it is. What's the point of the framing narrative and the unreliable narrator thing? Even if we assume this whole movie was a delusion or like willfully made up by the Joker, does that inform us of something in his worldview?
Whether or not you
or
whether
like give us new
whether or not it kind of works either way. He's not exactly secretive about how he feels or how he thinks the world is. Like, that wouldn't actually change anything.
My mind is like a putty right now. Like, I'm struggling.
Yeah, I could totally listen to 11 hours of this. This isn't mind-numbingly boring and just repeating the same arguments over and over again without anything interesting in between.
Insight into the story. That might have even been an interesting framing narrative if they set it up earlier or like did cutaways to it where he's talking to the therapist, Princess Bride style, and then maybe through the telling of the story you can get some kind of hint
Princess
of maybe
Bride
what would
style?
compel the Joker to make it up.
You know, I don't even want to question how she would... She's coming up with a theoretical movie, so I don't even care what the argument's going to be, because it's about a theoretical
Has
movie.
she seen The Princess Bride?
And still getting hung up on the most simplistic of comparisons. She's referring to the editing of cutting between the story and the storyteller. That seemed obvious to me, and I don't know why anybody would take issue with this. Unless, of course, you make the childish argument of, they're different movies, you can't compare the two.
Like what his motives are, what emotional impact he's trying to have, or like maybe even the therapist could start noticing inconsistencies in the story or like commenting on them to make the audience start to doubt themselves and doubt the truth of what they're seeing. Like, how cool would it be if you have this love interest character, everybody's calling her Cheryl, and like you notice, or like the therapist notice, and it's like, I thought her name was Sophie. What, did you make that person up? What's going on? I don't know. I feel like if
that happened. She was made up. The film did the thing you wanted. What was wrong with what happened?
No.
Why is that better than what we got? Explain why that's better than what we got.
Because she said it.
Oh, okay.
You already decide that you want your framing narrative to be crazy guy telling a story. There are ways to own it and have it improve the story in some way, but saving it for the very end, like it's supposed to be some kind of big shocking twist reveal, it just falls flat because it's just not a good twist. Like, the story is about...
Oh my god, Doomcock and here
yeah,
should
mentally
have a
ill people don't
conversation.
fucking hallucinate.
Doomcock would be so upset by this, I think.
Okay, I am way too deep into this to explain Doomcock. He's a right-wing grifter with a dorky supervillain mask. Take my word for it, that's all you need to know about this guy.
A mentally ill character. He's already had delusions in the rest of the story, so like you can see it coming from a mile away. And also, like, that's been done so many times.
Shut the fuck. These arguments suck.
It's been done before.
These
You can't do
suck.
it.
Like, that's what she's brought me down to. I'm just like, you suck.
6 hours and 30 minutes in, I'm honestly surprised that it took them this long to just resort to saying she sucks instead of engaging with her arguments. I thought for sure at this point they'd just be making fart noises over her commentary.
Just go back to your
old
porg,
hat.
you
Is that mixing my
worthless.
metaphors to say old hat now? It's like an old hat that you can see from miles away. The biggest...
I didn't see... Well, here's the thing. I didn't see it coming.
Not exactly something to brag about there, Rigmarole.
Very specific characterization of the Joker to get attached to. It might have kind of worked as like a slap in the face to find out he's either malicious or crazy and it's not true. But instead, the rest of it's so unfocused, you're just kind of like, okay. Like, for example, if the Joker's actions had followed some kind of internal logic and they had been presented in a way where they seemed to us to make sense in his very specific situation, like, oh, he was a victim of circumstance. Oh, he's just misunderstood. He had no choice.
He is a victim of circumstance, for sure.
Yeah, he's the first two things, certainly.
And
There's certainly he had a choice,
One
but his
of the
choices
key
were informed
traits
by the things that happened.
is that his mental illness causes him to laugh, which is misunderstood dramatically by people.
Yeah.
He has a card to help with the fact that it's misunderstood.
No, mentally ill people don't know they're mentally ill.
I think I like it when she suggests things the movie should do, and we're sitting here like, it did do them.
And it didn't do them well, which was the point that Jenny was making.
Totally taking you in, like you're really feeling for the Joker. Then at the end, you're like, oh, he really pulled the wool over our eyes. But instead, it's just a story told by a crazy man.
Why did you say crazy instead of mentally ill?
Just asking. Crazy man. Look, Doc, this may shock you because I'm in an asylum for the criminally insane, but my origin story is I was insane and then I became a criminal. You're like, all right, I guess that
that's all it was.
Ultimately, if you
At this point, I'm just trying to get it to the end.
Why? Just why? What's the point in continuing further? You're out of gas. You have no compelling arguments to make. Your insults are growing worse by the minute. Wolfenstein, Regretsico, Marlboro cigarettes. I think you should have called it a night 2 hours ago.
you do believe that everything the Joker is saying is true, you have just been convinced that the Joker is crazy. And if you don't believe that the story is true, then the story has just informed you that the Joker is crazy. Why give the story a framing narrative as like a twist ending?
Just stop saying words and end this fucking video, please.
I mean, you could do that. You could have done that at any time. Who is making you watch this? And if you really want the video to be over, maybe you should stop pausing it every 10 seconds for the pointless bitching you all keep doing.
Last line. I mean, I can't begrudge it that. It was a cool last line. This movie actually had a lot of cool lines, like just good one-liners. But also most of them were in the trailer. The trailers had better music too. I guess that's my review, is like if you saw the trailers and you were intrigued,
shut up.
then like just rewatch the trailers. It's a better experience.
Literally, how dare you?
Rewatch
Hilder,
the
whatever her last
trailers.
name is.
It's a better experience.
Okay, I don't know how to say her last name because it's like Icelandic and impossible to pronounce in
Nicholson?
normal. No,
the composer.
The composer for the movie. I know her first name's Hilder. I'm probably mispronouncing that too, but Hilder something or other. Icelandic lady. She made a fucking wonderful soundtrack. Don't tell me that the soundtrack in Joker is bad. It's really, really good.
Wait, she said that?
Did she?
She just said that she thinks the music in the trailers is better than the music in the movie.
Just because someone likes the music choices in the trailer doesn't mean they hate the score. I also don't know why you're getting this angry about it, considering the scenes that she didn't like for the music choices weren't even part of the score. If you liked Hilder's score, fine, but you should probably defend Gary Glitter for that one scene she's talking about, which... Actually, now that I think about it, no, you don't want to do that. Please do not look up Gary Glitter. You will regret it.
But also most of them were in the trailer. The trailers had better music too. I guess that's my review, is like if you saw the trailers and you were intrigued, then like just rewatch the trailers. It's a better experience than watching the whole movie. Doesn't take as long, it's free, it's fine. But if you're like me and you just like to sit in the safety of your own car and eat movie theater popcorn, then like knock yourself out.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's it.
That's how the video ends. There's no ending.
the end.
Special
just
thank
cuts.
you to the Super Rats.
It's a reference, don't you get it?
Is this how many patrons she has?
Oh
my god.
All the people who funded this should feel fucking ashamed of yourself.
Hold on. There cannot be that many patrons. How many subs does she have?
She's got a lot.
Oh,
This is why people wanted us to cover it for so long. She's very she's got a lot of fans.
This is fucking garbage. Like everything she said was just flat out wrong.
I think this is the part where they should have ended the stream, but they don't. They keep streaming as they continue to bitch about Jenny's review, look up memes, and respond to super chats. I, however, will end my response here because the remaining 5 hours of the stream are just a waste of time. I did watch the remainder of the video and intended to scroll through the many highlights again as I did for the first hour, but while I was writing it, I got bored and said fuck it. By covering only the highlights of EFAP's half-day stream, I've likely saved you some time. I've also countered the defenses of this video. Like, yes, they don't spend 11 hours talking about Jenny's 33-minute video. They only spent roughly 5 hours. And it's not 5 hours well spent. Now look, if you like the Joker movie, that's fine. I can understand why people like that movie, and I don't think it makes you dangerous or unhinged if you do. But you don't need to defend losers like EFAP, even if they are on your side. They're just boring and lazy commentators who will waste your time. So I won't waste any more of your time and end the video here, Animal House style.